It is rare that I come in here wanting to talk tennis. I felt yesterday like I had been transported to Sunday mornings in America 30 years ago. 30 years ago, back during a different time in tennis. And then I come in here and I sit down. And who's sitting across from me to talk tennis? But Dominique Foxworth.
Mr. Tennis.
Oh, that match, man. I know this is the Shadow Show, so I don't want to get into.
You don't want to give up the good stuff during the Shadow Show? The Shadow Show is the place for the best stuff, for the most loyal.
I agree. I'm not saying that I don't want to give up the good stuff. I'm saying that I want the room to stretch out and talk about the psychodrama that took place.
So you don't want this. This is too limiting. These 3 minutes of the Shadow Show where we're supposed to be giving the pure stuff to our best fans.
Can't every podcast say that the most loyal audience is there at the start of the podcast?
You can be totally disloyal and still hear this at the same spot of the podcast.
Well, but okay, fair enough. But the part of the Shadow Show that you will find right now on YouTube Live, which is us talking directly to our audience in a way we never do. It's the only place that we're doing it, right here directly to the audience. Dominique doesn't want to waste his best stuff. Not on a Greg Cody Monday.
Is that a thing? Greg Cody Monday? It used to be Greg Cody Tuesday. I don't know what happened. I got to get my calendar fixed.
Goddamn shirt, man.
That's right.
Ooh.
Let's go. It's Shirt Tuesday. Whatever the hell it is.
Monday.
Yeah, it's Shirt Monday.
There's no video on the Shadow Show.
It's shirt.
Greg Shirt Monday.
All right, so Greg, just explain to me how you've been promoted. Okay, you don't know what day it is, even though
So do you not wear shirts the other day?
It's normally Tuesday when I'm in
All
here.
right, so it's just to be clear right now, just so that we get off the ground correctly, it's Shirt Tuesday.
Right.
Okay.
I just think that the Shadow Show, where there is no video, I'm building anticipation because everybody who's listening on YouTube right now is like, I can't wait till the video comes out because Greg looks magnificent.
Well, Dominique came in
Thank
today
you,
and
Dominique.
said of this shirt, I've told Greg he's got to buy dozens of shirts like this. He needs nothing else in his collection. It needs to be just these shirts. Dominique and Greg have a checkered history.
Checkered.
And upon seeing each other, they had a very stiff, starched, dry clean handshake. But then Dominique noticed your father's shirt. And he said, nice shirt. And your father, a puddle of roses melted into Dominique's feet. Your father went totally soft.
I thought it was a lovely handshake.
Your shirt is what he thought was lovely.
Okay. Well, I thought the handshake was good and the shirt compliment was even better. But as I told Dominique, when you tell somebody effusively what a nice shirt they have, what's unspoken is compared to what you normally wear is the thing that was unsaid.
Backhanded.
Yes, backhanded compliment.
I mean, my inclination was to defend myself, but then I was like, no, it's true. You know it's true. We all know it's true. We ain't got to play no games. It's a good move that you pulled.
Yeah.
You have effectively lowered expectations, and you wore this shirt, which I won't explain because people, I want them to be surprised.
It's just a shirt.
It's Shirt Tuesday.
That motherfucker got buttons, same color as
does.
the shirt.
And you know what? It feels like I have cuffs buttoned, but there's no button. It's beautiful. I'm telling you what, I'm going to start wearing these shirts as pants. That's how much I like them.
So if you wear shirts on Tuesday, what day is pants day?
It's Wednesday?
Greg Cody just got done saying, I'm not making this up, this was official, and I was honored to be the only one here to witness and hear and celebrate it. He said, I have now retired officially my press box collection of shirts. The press box collection, which is all crumpled collars, all 20-year-old shirts that just shouldn't go. You shouldn't go out of the house because the collar goes 7 different ways.
Right.
In his defense, there's a uniform and there's a mentality. And when you put on something that looks a little too slick, it's hard to work hard and it's hard to make good stuff. So like you throw some whatever on, you are telling the world and telling yourself, I'm getting down and I'm going to work. I don't care what I look like. I'm going to make some quality stuff today. There's difference.
Yeah.
If someone comes out all decked out, they are expecting not to do hard work or make good things.
Let's start Shirt Tuesday.
Everybody wear their flying shit on Tuesday?
Stop that. Stop that. Stop that. Yeah, I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the walking. Just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch my please use caution. Cold like 0 degrees. I'm out the cage, gotta let out the beast. Revolutionary, gotta let out the streets. Locked in a cage, I'ma let out the sheets. You can't go one man, forget my peace. You take the west, I'll take on the east. I'ma put him in the cage, never let out the. I hear him chat to the noise. Move too quick, can't stop for the talking. I hear him chat with the prize. Not so tough, but man's keep walking. Yeah, just too sharp with the prize. White girls better tell me I'm awesome. Yeah, hot like fire on the pan. If you wanna touch me, please use caution. Stop that. Stop that. Stop that.
I can't start with the basketball, and I probably should start with the tennis because it really was a Sunday that felt like it had gone back in time 30 years, where tennis mattered at the only time that tennis can have the stage to itself. When sports are, sleepy and getting up in the morning, it's mostly soccer and stuff. This used to be a time in this country that on Sunday mornings, what tennis gave you yesterday was a magical thing that went beyond tennis and had Dominique in a place where he's been yesterday, I'm going to say. He's where tennis fans have been for about 30 years. He's on an airplane trying to celebrate with somebody what he's witnessing on television, which is like the height of athletic grace and pressure, not team sports, just people doing something historic. And he wants to celebrate with somebody on the airplane, and there's just one person 6 rows back that's also watching. That's where tennis has lived in the public consciousness for a while, but they gave you an epic one yesterday.
It was incredible, man. Like, the match itself was outstanding, but I think more interesting than that is it took me to a place where I was thinking about how few moments in our lives we actually are in a situation where we're at a fork in the road and know that our performance will determine like the trajectory of our lives. And I'm in that moment thinking it's a 5+ hour tennis match and it's epic. They know it's epic, and they know that the whole world has stopped to watch them play, and they know that this will determine kind of how we'll think about them and how their careers go forward. And they seem to have separated themselves from the pack. So this is going to be a rivalry that goes on for a long time. It's taken on from the big 3 to the big 2. But just thinking about that, and I started going back through my life trying to think of moments where I was like, man, I woke up and was like, whatever happens today will determine how the rest of my life goes. And we just don't have those moments much. And that's why I love sports so much. And it feels like the only time you see that it's like movies and TV shows where you're like, hey, this is going to determine how everything else goes from here. And we had that yesterday.
Sports are great. And I want to get back to all of that because I really do believe that yesterday it can be inspirational, right? When you see all this stuff distilled and it's not team sports and it's just 2 people fighting. And it's 5 hours of will and they're living and dying with it, and they care as much as you do, and they know they're in the middle of something historic. And both matches were good yesterday. Both matches or this weekend were good. But I want to start with the hockey because, of course, overtime is the best thing, and double overtime is better than that. And Roy, I will not hear that you were not scared.
I wasn't.
Roy.
Liar.
Roy, there's just you are lying. You are lying. In fact, hold on a second.
No.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
Yo, chicken time.
It's double overtime. You're gonna go down 0-2.
You were next to Dorky, and also you smiled when you said no. It's a towel.
Yeah,
Roy,
like hockey. Such a lie. You can't. That's the scariest. That's the scariest it's been in 3 years. No. That right there. What have you had a worse feeling as a Panther fan than I know my team is good enough, but we could get killed here by random?
In the last 3 years, yeah. I mean, being down 3-1 to Boston, that Brad Marchand breakaway that doesn't go in the net, and then you need Montour to equalize with less than a minute left. I'd say I was pretty nervous against Toronto when they were down 2-0, and then they went down 2 goals in Game 3 and needed to come back in
No one here showed public fear there. That was not something that made an appearance here. You guys have been all bravado. We got the best team. This is the best team, but you know you're up against something that can beat you in overtime and double overtime, can come back from 3-1. You're scared of it. You respect it plenty because you know how good it is. And that goal, I want to play 4 goal calls, 4 languages, but I did hear on one of the replays, one of the radio announcers was calling on the Marchand goal. He actually said, can't get the shot off, is how he started it. And then the next thing you hear is, that's a goal. The game is over. And what sweeps through South Florida is you go from fear to exhilaration. You go from down 0-2 to now you can have home ice. And let's play these goal calls one after another.
Attention, Marchand qui va s'échapper. Marchand avance, la fin. Il a vu. Marchand, le héros de ce match numéro 2. Et les Panthers vont rentrer en Floride avec une égalité de 1-1 dans cette finale de la Coupe Stanley. Le 5e but gagnant en prolongation de la carrière de Brad Marchand en série.
That's why we started with that one. We're going to build up.
Kind of underwhelming.
When did it go in?
A real surprise judgment from Roy there to go French first for some reason. They
French
hit the
Canadian.
French,
It's a build-up.
Okay.
I would only assume it's a build-up.
Start with Canada.
Roy, I
Right.
like that.
Okay. I think it's a not great judgment, but what are you going to give us now? English or a different language?
This is French.
Match 2, et là c'est comme tout proche de l'être, attention, parce qu'il y a Brad Marchand désormais, Brad Marchand, et la passe, c'est au fond, et c'est Brad Marchand, le héros du match 2 pour les Panthers qui égalise un partout dans cette série. Incroyable, Brad Marchand, son doublé pour lui ce soir.
Oui.
Yeah, parlez-vous. Oui, bonbons, and all
What he
that good
said.
stuff.
We are building up. That one was better.
Oui. Was your contribution. So
man.
we've started with 2 French goal calls. Again, when I was listening, that broadcaster absolutely went home kicking himself because the beginning of the call was Marchand can't get the shot off.
It was a tricky goal. I mean, Draisaitl did lift the stick a little bit. It kind of just slid in.
Okay, but just so people understand the tempest of this, if you do not care about hockey, you've got your heart in your face the entire 2 periods. You're just terrified, and they've got the fastest guys. They've got the people who could score fastest, and you're great at defense. But
Also, it should go without saying, and it has so far, but for those that didn't watch the game, Edmonton equalized that game with 17 seconds left.
Yes.
Well,
So
this
you're carrying that with you.
Thank you. So the team that's the clutchiest in the clutch, 3rd period, they always win it. That's their signature thing. Paul Maurice undefeated on the road, undefeated in the playoffs if he leads after 1 or 2 or at 1 or 2, and then definitely after 3. They come back on you twice because it doesn't matter, and now with 17 seconds left in the game. Your heart is in your throat the rest of the time, and what happens is, as Edmonton can flog you and you're already tired because it's hard to play against them because it's 46 shots in the last game and you got the weight of Edmonton on you and you're a champion. And this shit's hard. And you have to get Marchand and you have to do trade deadline things so that you've got more reinforcements because this is the toughest trophy to win. Everybody knows that this is the toughest trophy to win by reputation.
I know that hockey and tennis are very different sports. However, I felt a similar thing while watching the tennis match in that hockey game where it's like the mentality, and sorry to drag us back to this mental part of the game, but in those moments, you're playing for the Stanley Cup, the championship of your sport, like the thing that you want in Dynasty, essentially for Florida, to start kind of accumulating those titles for Dynasty. You have 18 seconds till you have taken home ice advantage and you give up a goal. And the mentality that it requires, you guys should be so proud. Like, I've become somewhat of a Panthers fan
I am proud,
just by
Dominique.
watching this show. And one of the things I know about the Panthers from watching this show and watching more Panthers games is they can ice a game, essentially. And they had that one thing. You always talk about how they can take the ball in the corner and snuff out
It's a
another
puck,
opponent.
but that's all right. We keep it going.
My bad. A puck, you got it. Take it in the corner and snuff out the opponent. And they had that situation to do, and they couldn't do it. And they responded to that by bouncing back. Like, that is so difficult mentally.
Let me just explain.
So
I
difficult.
this part is the coolest to me, right?
Yeah.
They're a champion. They're a champion. They're a proven champion, and this is how you defend a title. Edmonton comes at you with those two players, and they crush you, steal your soul. 17 seconds left. That's the loudest Edmonton there's been since Gretzky. Like, yes, we can topple these guys. They're the champion. They took it from us. Now we can do to them in these last moments what they thought they were good at. This is how you take it from them. And then what you have in overtime is it goes right from one side to the other. Like that's not playoff hockey. Playoff hockey is not that wide open. It's not 4 and 5 goals. If the Panthers are going to play Edmonton style and win at that, it's the toughest way to do it. If that's the way they're going to choose, you're going to make Bobrovsky be a lot better than Skinner.
Yeah, you don't want to be in an end-to-end battle with the Edmonton Oilers.
But what I'm saying is, imagine this, Dominique, just the feeling. There's just nothing like it. Nothing like what I'm about to explain to you. It's overtime. It's double overtime. You're terrified, and what's coming at you is historically offensively. It'll flog you. And so back and forth on the ice as fast as it can be, and then Marchand, of all people, wins the game for you.
I'm not a hockey guy, as you can tell by the fact that I called the puck a ball, but that's the wonderful thing about sports in this tennis match, in these hockey games over the weekend, is you don't have to understand the complexity of it. You turn it on and you goddamn feel it. And I felt it watching that game. And to your point, I don't know how I've been in these high-pressure situations, and I know that there's something that happens in those situations that the momentum and the psychology of it hurts. And so, like, me explaining to you, I know we, like, pay lip service to it, like, just be tough. It's really hard to just be tough. I'm not sure how I can create a moment in everyone else's life, but imagine the rent is due and you just don't got it. And like that feeling that you have in that moment, and how most people will respond to that is like, shit, I don't got it. But somehow they go find that damn rent, and it fires me up.
It can't be overstated that if they lose that game to go down 2-0 in the series, realistically it's over. And don't tell me about Toronto in the last round. This is not Toronto. And Florida hasn't been lights out at home. They're 4-3 at home this postseason.
If we lose that game and then win tonight, we're fine. But yes, it gets scary.
I don't know about that.
You lose that game in that way?
Oh, no, it gets scary. Oh, trust me. I wish I had the security footage of outside the restaurant, the bar I was at, of me just after that goal, the intermission, but before overtime, just me aimlessly walking through the parking lot.
I'll back Chris up here. It doesn't feel as over as going down 3-0 to Toronto would have felt, because you still have the 2 home games to hang your hat on. And I know they've been better on the road. They're not a bad team at home. They're still reigning, defending Stanley Cup champions with 2 games at home in front of their home fans to get back into that series. Toronto 3-0 would have felt over.
It would have been scary. I'm not saying it would have been scary, but like we've had scary before.
I will tell you
in that way,
historically, in the Stanley Cup final, a 2-0 lead is accentuated. That in the Stanley Cup final is even greater than 2-0 in other rounds. Historically, 91%, you're up 2-0, you're going to win. 91%, 50 out of 55 teams up 2-0 in the final have won. Dare say most of those teams aren't as good as Edmonton. They sure don't have McDavid.
I would say that ostensibly up 2-0 and won that way, where it is that Dominique is talking about how you get debilitated. Like, these teams that are this good do not give away the championship. It must be taken. Like, this team, you know it. When Paul Maurice is saying, this is a life-changing team for me, this is the best thing I've ever seen, hockey guy at his core, and he's saying, this is a life-altering experience for me. To be in the center of this, I've got the best and I know it. And oh shit, what cometh this way?
Yeah, but the fear...
He respects what that is. He knows it's all of Edmonton. He knows to fear that McDavid, with all of Edmonton at his back, doesn't seize up to the pressure of that, becomes the immortal that we think he is, because that's what the hockey does to these people this time of year. Like, what's available to McDavid right here is everything. Go ahead, Chris. What do you got?
No, I mean, I just think that when this team is playing the way they're playing, like, the fan base is way more scared than the players are. Like, I agree with you. When they get that goal with 17 seconds left, I am broken. We're all broken as a fan base. But you hear the reports, they go back in the locker room, they're laughing. Kachuk's like, who's going to get it? Like, they're having, I mean, maybe it's a coping mechanism, but they're trying to just be relaxed, talking about who's calling out, who's going to get the game-winning goal. So I just feel like, and that's why they're so great. The fear, like, The Panthers actually weren't scared in that spot. Unlike I was. I will admit, I was terrified.
I think that the stories that come out are, and I'm not in that locker room, but the stories that come out are different than how they're actually feeling and how I think everyone is actually feeling. I think there are some people that feel that way. But I think the story is a little bit shaded by the result, because if they lose in that situation, no one's like, hey, like that's happening. That's happened in a bunch of locker rooms where people thought they were going to come back and they did.
Is he accusing the Panthers of lying, of changing, rewriting the mythology as we go? Is he saying they didn't come back to the locker room laughing? Let's check in on Roy and Dwork and Rose did a live watch of this, and I want you guys to see the Panther fan base is represented by these 4 people. I heard from sources I will not reveal now, but we will get to over the course of the show, that Ethan was again too chatty on the show, and we're going to have to do that, something about that as a network, I believe. I was told from sources that Roy had to exert a pulling aside of Ethan and telling him to talk less, and it's something I've been wanting to do for a while, so thank you, Roy, for handling that in management in front of people. Ethan,
I overheard, before. I have no idea the context of what you just said, but before the show today, I heard Roy say to Ethan, we have to talk after the show.
I got nervous hearing that.
Look, Ethan talked too much on this, but it's okay. We give away the microphones around here to my lament.
I learned more than I wanted about Ethan this morning.
He talks a lot. Yeah.
That might be later for the show.
Well, I will tell you that I have not yet forgiven Ethan for while I was doing a show introducing Pablo Torre, seeing in our Slack turn up from Ethan the commentary to everybody. Are we just going to bleep off Pablo all show? And Ethan felt, Ethan, go to the penalty box for a while here, because this is retroactive,
Retroactive.
Yeah.
We've got a penalty, 5 minutes, major asshole.
So he was talking too much during Roy and Dwork and Rose's broadcast, because we give away microphones around here.
Wait, I'm confused. Is he or is he not on the show?
He is on the show. He's the third voice.
I saw a shirt that said Budsky on it.
All right, so he should be talking more like the third voice and less like the first voice. But here's 17 seconds left. I want you to look at here. These are objective journalists, Rose and Dwork and Roy and Ethan, objective journalists. When Edmonton ties the game with 17 seconds left.
Going back to the point. You know that.
Oh my God, get it out. Oh my God. The Edmonton Oilers have tied this game at 4.
Wow.
And we are going to go into overtime.
Oh my God, dude. This is like a team of destiny. Holy shit.
Corey Perry has tied this game at 4 with 17 seconds left in regulation.
40-year-old man.
Well, now I get to rewrite my game story.
I love how Roy just kind of talks like his tweets.
Well, he stayed in broadcast. Look.
He doesn't want to show us the feelings.
No, that was like Cronkite delivering you news of the Equalizer.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to play all of this again because Roy met the moment by absolutely delivering the news poignantly as what happened around him. The visuals of this would have been the same if a landmine had gone off underneath Roy, because Rose and Ethan
just walk away.
I've never seen Ethan get that far from a microphone that fast. Like, he likes being near microphones, but this tore apart the Panther fan base. To have it, look, guys, if you lose those 2 games that way and know how good Edmonton is, I'm not going to say you guys bow, but you'd certainly be expecting to lose at that point.
Yeah.
No, we know we have a game 3 that's a must-win. That's the way I would look at it.
I would be like, that's hard to come back from, and you'd be telling yourself Edmonton's better.
It's that way of it. They're beating you.
It was brutal. You're right.
No, but they're beating you at your stuff. Like when they're better than you, like you get a shorthanded goal. You need a shorthanded goal to beat them.
Well, I would think high-scoring games, we're actually beating them at their game, I would argue. Our game is more 2-1.
I know, but I'm saying you would have lost both games their way. And they would have taken from you at the end the thing that you do best because you couldn't get them to play your way. Like, the thing that the Panthers do is they inflict those third periods on people.
Can we get back to Roy delivering the news?
Yes. Let's play this sound so that you can see where Rose and Ethan end up.
Oh, Marchand! Oh, breakaway!
The guys, we went up.
I don't care about the joy. I want the tears.
Get their happiness out of my face.
Stop it. Bring it down. Bring it down.
Yeah, that's
Bring it
not
down.
the one that I wanted.
I need
wanted
the one that Roy
from
says
before.
courage afterwards.
So yes.
Guys, when we say replay, it means we want to play the one we just played.
That's Dan Rather. Good note, Chris. Good note. Yes, that is what it means.
There was a 10-minute meeting after the show about communication. I said it in the open mics.
Yes, just barked it as an instruction to the other room.
Barky.
Alexander barked it.
Shirt Tuesday.
Holy shirt. No holes.
Oh, come on, man.
What? That's harsh judging right there.
Holy shirt.
I want to appeal that ruling.
You think holy shirt deserved something there?
Yeah. Well, Alexander, whatever I said, barked.
Whatever you
Barked
said.
it.
Such a good,
He said
memorable
barked it.
line that it's whatever I said.
There are so many good memorable lines. It's tough to catalog them.
Dominique, do you see the
Nile? Yes, I do see the Nile.
on your glasses, Greg?
Yeah, I know. They were poorly fit. I'm not going to name my optometrist right now, but
Name them.
these were poorly
Gillicuddy.
fit. I think when they go on, I think they're naturally too close to my skull.
They've been consistently smoking up. They're fogging.
You know what? I have a good excuse built into anything that goes wrong this show because I'm tired. I'm in the middle of a long, grueling hockey playoff. I don't think I've written anything but Panthers for it feels like 2 months. It's probably been a couple of weeks at least. And it makes me weary. It does. But exhilarated. You understand that feeling.
But
That's when you used to work for a living?
Okay, look, but so this was interesting though on the flight that Dominique took in. When Dominique is flying in and he's trying to enjoy the majesty of sports, this is somebody who still is following these things in a way that hasn't been for 50 years. That can be exhausting to lifetime people who have been running back and forth to arenas for. I don't know how many years, but this is where the media gets old. Like this is where the voices, the voices that are 50 through 70, that are sort of tired of sports and can't be inspired by what it is that is presently in the middle of it. You're speaking to the exhilaration of it. It's what keeps you coming in, but you're also tired.
Right. No, I know that, but you know what wakes you up and invigorates you and makes you the opposite of tired is when you watch a Marchand goal in double overtime and you instantly realize you've just seen something epic. You've just seen something that's going to be memorable, that's going to have a place in Florida Panthers history. And that's pretty exciting. You know, it's great. And I still say that if they lose that game and they're down 2-0, nobody, not even the fans with their face painted throwing rats, nobody thinks realistically that they're going to win that series.
That's so funny you say that because I would bet that you would have written that column that they're still in it because you have to just hold the McOverrated. Like it's your last hope of just holding that.
Okay, look, he hasn't won a Stanley Cup yet, so officially he's still McOverrated.
How did you feel when he had that power play assist? It's one of the nicest plays I've ever seen in hockey.
It was magical. He slalomed past Barkov and Ekblad,
our best defenders,
and left them like turnstiles.
It was incredible. Yes, he's ridiculously good.
But like right there, did you kind of have a moment of, oh?
No, because I'd seen it before, and I'll see it again. And yeah, I had, and I know how good he is. Too good to never have won a Stanley Cup. That's how. I just had a colonoscopy. I had no polyps. I have the same number of polyps as McDavid does Stanley Cups.
Well, that was the
I
clip
can't help
we were
that.
going to play from your with White Hat.
Good one.
Oh yeah, I ate White Hat. I gutted him like a fish on my podcast.
All right, hold on a minute. We've just arrived at the most self-absorbed part of Shirt Tuesday. Holy Shirt Tuesday. Hold on, because you mentioned. Look, Chris.
I forget his name. White Hat.
Will you stop?
Greg, you're inside here on a rivalry that's very important to you, but I need to explain to the entirety of the audience because they may not know.
Okay, I just remembered his name. It's Pete Cockburn.
Blackburn.
Blackburn? Okay, my bad. I'm sorry.
But he's a senile old man.
Honest mistake. In the dead of night, take these broken wings and learn to fly.
You didn't say the Blackburn part.
Blackburn singing. I thought it was obvious.
But he's a senile old man.
Do it with Cockburn.
Yeah, you know, I showed him. I ate him for lunch.
So he says he gutted him like a fish and then throws out a cockburn for everyone to enjoy.
See, you're ruining some of the comedy. He said, I got in him like a fish. Get it right. Everything that he said is comedic genius.
Got in him? I thought he said, I gutted him like a fish.
Oh,
That's
I thought he
what I
said.
heard.
Oh, apologies.
I definitely heard cockburn.
That I heard.
Senile old man.
So can I explain to the audience what just happened?
Please, yeah.
You're feuding with another podcast because they call you a senile old man.
Yeah, well, White Hat did. The other guy was pretty complimentary.
But he's a senile old man.
Yeah, fine. Keep playing that.
Okay, but hold on.
Okay.
But he's a senile old man.
So,
right,
Roy, I need to get back to you. Have you gotten video ship shape, please? Have you gotten video ship shape so that I can get back to you being crestfallen Cronkite? You were delivering war news. You were delivering Chris noted duly, okay? There will be no better moment than this, even the one we've already spoiled by showing you the game-winning goal. Roy meeting the moment with the urgency of telling everybody what the news is of what just happened as his teammates make clear what just happened, which isn't an apocalypse. What has happened is 17 seconds left. We're no longer friends. This is how friends would come apart in the movies if they didn't want to be around each other because something terrible had happened. And Roy rose to the moment and summoned his best crestfallen Cronkite.
Going back to the point. You know that.
Oh my God, get it out. Oh my God. The Edmonton Oilers have tied this game at 4.
Wow.
And we are going to go into overtime.
Oh, you say it, Roy. Say it.
Oh my God, dude. This is like a team of destiny. Holy shit.
Corey Perry has tied this game at 4 with 17 seconds left in regulation.
And that's the way it is.
Oh my God.
Roy, it is so good, but it's also good because you're so professional in that moment while everything around you is crestfallen that I don't believe that people understand how flim-flam, flip-flop Dwork is. That in the middle of that, he's like, oh shit, team of destiny.
Yeah.
Like he gave them the entire game there. It wasn't even tied anymore.
Oh, everyone was saying that in that moment.
I was saying worse.
Yeah, it's their time.
I was like, check, please.
It's just their time.
Wait a minute, which is it? It can't be all those things.
No, that's exactly.
17 seconds left?
Yeah, with 17 seconds left after
Harry!
you lost game 1 in overtime, you're like, okay, it's just their time. And that's a perfectly rational way to behave.
Okay, you say that, but how about what Dominique is saying about the idea of they know that's what they're under and they're like, bleep off. We laugh in the face of this. We laugh in the face of, no, you're going to write us off like that? That's why we're stronger than our fan base because we're in the war. We're in the middle of it.
Not the whole fan base. They're not stronger than Roy. Because Roy looked at that and said, it is a date which will live in infamy, but we are coming back, baby. And that's why Roy, I feel differently about all of this now because I didn't realize that people like that walk among us. Roy is ice water. I know that if somebody came up in here, I don't give a damn who you got on security. Roy is going to save us all.
When he fixed his posture and then adjusted the headset mic to meet the moment, I felt that.
I see it in his face because, like, right when the goal happens, his eyes get big and you can see it. And then he has a moment of, got to be a journalist here.
All right, so I'm going to explain, please, one more time I want to play this. See if video. This is the same video I want to play again. I don't want to play the video of them winning the winning goal. The same video.
Replay.
So I want you not just to watch everything here. Rose and Ethan leave the proceedings because this is crushing. Like this is one of those pains that you'd remember for a long time. 17 seconds is a number that would get etched in that moment for Panther fans because, oh, that's where they took it. 17 seconds left. They took our thing from us. We snuff you out at the end of games. And Roy is not just a war correspondent here. He's also reporting from where the Hindenburg has crashed. And what he does in
there are bodies everywhere.
This is right. No, and so
All to humanity.
For some reason, correct. For some reason, gunfire has broken out somewhere around here. I don't say that flippantly. That's an actual danger these days. But in this particular context, he's a war correspondent. And what he does with his headset here is he gets into position because this is the moment of Roy's life.
Going back to the point. You know that.
Oh my God, get it out. Oh my God. The Edmonton Oilers have tied this game at 4.
Wow.
And we are going to go into overtime.
Oh my God, dude. This is like a team of destiny. Holy shit.
Team of destiny.
Corey Perry has tied this game at 4.
I wish he had glasses to take off. He would have driven the point home that President Kennedy has died at 1 p.m. Central Time.
I think I found a new moment. We might have to watch it again or try to freeze it, but I don't think you recognize that the serial killer that Roy is, he smiled a little bit. Watch it again. I promise you there's a smirk. I promise you there's a smirk.
He laughed at death?
He doesn't know what to do with his face.
Replay. I want a replay, please.
It's the same thing.
Going back to the point. You know
Watch.
that.
Watch the smile is coming.
Oh, my God. Get it out. Oh, my God. The Edmonton Oilers have tied this game at 4.
Wow.
There it is.
There it is. He smiled.
There it is.
He looked death in the eye and smiled.
Hey, here it comes. Look.
Yeah. I caught him.
Oh my God!
You're sick.
Roy, you sicko.
I believe you now. I thought it was all an act.
That is playoff hockey right there.
He's so happy.
Torque is not ready for it. Rose is clearly not ready for it. Ethan's not ready for it. But Roy is
Grizzled
smiling
vet
at
right
death.
there.
Stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
To smile?
He don't want it. He don't want it the easy way.
What a catch by
He
Dominique.
got excited because he was like, "Hey, now we
Roy,
can do it
play
the hard
for
way."
me in Spanish, please, before we get to the goal call where all of you celebrated. Play for me the Spanish goal call of the Marchand goal.
Viene el bastonazo. Y aquí vienen los Panteras ahora. Otra vez Marchand.
We do it better.
It's the go-to.
We do it better, Tony.
See, now I know who scored.
So much better than the French.
¡Lo ganaron las Panteras! ¡Lo ganaron las Panteras! ¡Lo ganaron las Panteras! ¡Silencio
Panthers won, Panthers won.
Why are you saying
sepulcral!
pants?
En el
Panteras,
Rogers Place lo hizo Brad Marchand. Quedó mano a mano y definió. Con ustedes la
Miércoles.
figura de la noche, coach.
Shirt Tuesday.
See, now,
Pantalones.
pantalones
Now I know.
miércoles.
Pantalones on a Shirt Tuesday. Tony, Spanish is a better language than French.
It's better. It's far superior.
Put
Dan.
it on the poll, please, at Le Batard Show. We played 2 French goal calls. They both kind of stunk, and we didn't know what had happened.
We don't know when the puck goes in the in the net.
Yeah,
in the
sorry
crease.
that
No
they
one
don't
did.
yell, goal! Like, that's the only reason we know.
They could do
like,
something. Can we play the French Canadian one again? It was terrible.
I'm French-Canadian. Play the French
That one sucked.
Guys, it was plenty confusing to those watching and listening to English. It was a weird goal.
Agreed, but
Kenny
there was-
Albert's like, it's not in. Oh, shit, it's in.
Yes,
I don't think he said, oh, shit, it's in.
Kenny Albert said that?
and he didn't hit his microphone when he said it either with his left fist either.
Cole missed the net. Ahead for Marchand. Moving in on Skinner. Marchand is in. He scores. Marchand wins game 2 for the Panthers in double overtime.
And Marchand's mom in the middle of Edmonton there, like just taunting people.
I mean, the Spanish one has a
Far
climax.
superior. Far
none,
superior.
None of them climax like the Spanish.
It's so much
One
better.
note,
No.
these Spanish goal calls, every
All right.
sport.
Yeah,
right?
Whoa.
you can't steal the soccer
We
goal
got
call.
it.
You can't steal that.
Okay, look, you make fun of it all you want. Okay, make fun of it all you want.
loved it.
There was no confusion in the Spanish telling of this tale. Okay, so you go ahead and tell me how much better French and English are, but when the Spanish do it, this is the correct call, no argument.
Viene el bastonazo. Y aquí vienen los Panteras ahora. Otra vez Marchand. Brad Marchand. ¡Gol! ¡De las Panteras! ¡De las Panteras! ¡Lo ganaron las Panteras! ¡Lo ganaron las Panteras! ¡Lo ganaron las Panteras! ¡Silencio sepulcral! En el Rogers Place lo hizo Brad Marchand. Quedó mano a mano y definió. Con ustedes la figura de la noche, coach.
Tony, because our language is the superior language, again, I want to put it on the poll at Le Batard Show, better language, Spanish or French. I would like for you to translate for the people because it can sound like pantalones and it can sound, if you don't know Spanish, I would like for you to translate for people.
So I think the important things to know is some of the key words that are being said. So when you hear them, you already know what the reference point is. So pantera is panther in Spanish. So that's what we have. Where
Not pants.
Not pants for whites.
That is a cute little nickname that the Panthers have. Occasionally people will call them the Pants, and I always pop for that. Let's go, Pants.
Yeah.
regardless, Tony, the call after the sing-song of he's made it plain. You have 5 straight calls sing-song on the Panthers. The Panthers have won.
Panthers have won it.
There's no confusion about is Marchand, did he get the shot off? There's none of that.
No, you could not know Spanish and listen to all those goal calls and come away with the clearest idea of what happened by listening to the Spanish call.
Here they go on the ice. Marchand. He scored! Goal! Panthers win it! The Panthers! They won it, the Panthers! The Panthers won! They won, the Panthers won! Silence is everywhere in Edmonton. He did it, Brian Marchand did it!
That's what I loved was silence is everywhere.
Incredible.
Again, nobody said that in any other language. The Spanish paint it so beautifully, so perfectly. I didn't hear Edmonton was quiet from any other language.
I mean, what other languages do you speak?
English.
So the French one, you wouldn't have heard it.
They didn't
That's
say
a good
shit.
line.
I can guarantee
I mean,
you
the
that.
French
Silence
one,
is everywhere.
The
I like
French,
that.
the French, it did feel like the guy had a cigarette the whole time. Like he was just chilling. He just had a drink.
I
and a
thought the
cigarette.
emotion of our people is on display here, but how about the emotion of our Meadowlark people? You can now video play the
happy goal call.
The happy goal call. This is not the rerun. This is Roy. What kind of broadcaster was Roy at a time where objectivity was needed?
Oh, Marchand! Breakaway!
I'm getting buried.
Still
You can't even hear it.
broadcasting. He is a war correspondent, surrounded by debauchery and fools. Look at him, tolerating fools and incompetence, carrying his teammates to glory. Is that Cynthia?
Cynthia goes over just to like shake Roy. Like, Roy, this is do something.
Roy, some life. Roy, have an emotion.
If you notice,
That was fake.
Did I hear someone say Mike is a rat?
Mike is a rat? Is that Ethan? Whoa! Is that Ethan? That Ethan again?
To finish his hockey segment.
Mike Ryan has landed in Vegas. God knows what time it is right there.
Despite its reputation for tight corners and narrow roads, F1 is putting a sprint race in Baku. On Saturday, Charles Leclerc is fearless in pole position as the sprint begins. But at the start, London boy George Russell delivers some karma to Max Verstappen, making him a move to push him wide. Max is red, but George says, don't blame me. Number 22, Yuki Tsunoda, clips the wall and loses a tire after just 2 laps. At the restart, Sergio Perez has a lead with 5 laps left. It's time to go. Checo wins the sprint race, but Max and George have bad blood when the race ends. You guys see what I'm doing yet? Will there be vigilante shit on Sunday?
This
Max,
is amazing.
You need to calm down because it's lights out and away we go in Baku. Sparks fly, and Verstappen is driving like he's in a getaway car and pulls out into the lead. Long story short, Nick DeVries has a glitch and a safety car ensues. Perez is in the lead after a slew of pit stops, but he's not out of the woods yet. The one driver, Max Verstappen, has speed, but that's when Sergio Perez says, bye-bye, baby. As the race ends, Esteban Ocon goes into the pit, but the mastermind race organizers have let press onto the treacherous pit lane. This is why we can't have nice things. 7-time champion Lewis Hamilton finishes in 6th. The last great American dynasty, Haas, finishes out of the points, but today was a fairy tale for Sergio Perez. Verstappen finishes in 2nd, which is better than revenge. 1-2 for Red Bull is nothing new. They don't have champagne problems on the podium, but the anti-hero Max Verstappen is only ahead in the Drivers' Championship by 6 points. Fernando Alonso and Taylor Swift rumors are swirling. Long live Formula One. Max Verstappen has won the Drivers' Championship, but we still have 4 races to go. In Austin, Daniel Ricciardo rides a horse named Horsey McHorseface into the paddock. Zach Brown accuses Christian Horner of cheating, and Fort Lauderdale's own Logan Sargent will join Williams in 2023. During quali, Carlos Sainz takes the fastest lap while his teammate Charles Leclerc takes a grid penalty. Martin Brundle gets snubbed by Brad Pitt. Tim Apple doesn't know how to wave a flag. 440,000 people are at the Circuit of the Americas. It's lights out and away we go. On turn 1, Max Verstappen gets ahead of Carlos Sainz, and Sainz tries to recover, but gets hit by George Russell. The Spaniard is out of the race before the 1 lap is even over, and Russell takes a 5-second penalty. Valtteri Bottas' race ends early, and a safety car helps out Charles Leclerc for once. Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll get in a massive collision, and debris is everywhere. Lewis Hamilton on hard tires leads the race with 10 laps to go, but the Flying Dutchman cannot be beat this year. It's Verstappen, Hamilton, and Leclerc. Sebastian Vettel battles to the finish in his final USGP. Baby Lando finishes 6th, and Yuki gets a point. Red Bull wins the Constructors' Championship for the first time in 10 years, a day after their founder's passing. People are crying, there's champagne flowing, fireworks are popping off. Everything is bigger in Texas, Dan, except for F1 drivers.
Yes, it's time for the F1 minute here, even though I want to hear that sound
gave it
again.
away.
Je suis stressé pour les minutes de Formula 1. J'ai besoin d'énergie. Énergie.
Let's go,
Wait for the
energy.
beat drop.
Oh, energy.
Bonjour et bienvenue à Circuit Paracas pour le Grand Prix de France. Les températures élevées sur le circuit signifient que la gestion des pneus va être essentielle. Charles Leclerc, le pilote automobile monégasque, fait face à Max Verstappen pour la première place. Le pilote Ferrari doit gagner pour rester dans les championnats. Mais non! Quelle horreur! Une catastrophe! Sacré bleu! Charles Leclerc sort de la course! Encore de la malchance! Il est fini! Une honte! Max Verstappen prend une grosse avance. Lewis Hamilton, le pilote Mercedes, est 12e. Carlos Sainz, l'autre pilote Ferrari, a commencé à la 19e place d'où sa pénalité pour le changement du moteur. Et les roues contre roues avec Sergio Perez, mais l'imbécile de chez Ferrari recommence. Max Verstappen a fini premier de la course. Carlos Sainz est le pilote toujours. Lando, l'enfant Norris, a terminé 7e. Lance Stroll a terminé avec un point. Félicitations, Mike Crack.
Huh?
Wow! Oh my God!
Holy shit! Holy
Merci,
shit!
merci.
Oh my God! Was there an imbecile in there? Did you say
Les
imbecile?
imbéciles de chez Ferrari recommencent.
That sounded so exciting. I have no idea what happened.
Les pauvres Charles Leclerc, les pauvres.
My God, that was incredible.
That was
I
really
am
good.
so
Merci,
jealous that
merci
you can do that.
Christophe, merci Guillermo.
Well, the music ran out, but I think you should, because we didn't have an F1 minute today. I think you should give people Lord of the Rings minute. Yes, I think you should give people
Spoiler alert or no spoiler
Dangerous
alert?
game, man.
dangerous game because of what?
To us, you can spoil as much as you want. So I say go for as many spoilers as you like.
All right, I'll give a spoiler of what happened at the end of the last
Hold on.
episode.
Let me get you
Hold up.
music.
It was insane. Okay, so spoiler. Do not listen if you don't want to know what happened in the last episode of The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. So Galadriel and Halbrand, who everyone thinks might be Sauron, they go from Numenor back to Middle-earth, and they're in the Southlands. And the guy who's like the head elf of the Southlands, who's trying to help protect all the people who are getting invaded by the ORC army.
This episode is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Chris, Cody, I don't know how you guys feel about the folks like Ethan or, for example, Jason, the director Jason. He has suggested that this not be a Shirt Tuesday. He has suggested that because Mike Ryan is jealous of Billy Gill's Wild Willie Wednesdays, that Mike Ryan should have his own branding on Mondays. And Jason came to me today, he's never done this before, and said, I have my own branding. Can you put that up somewhere, Jason? Can you put that up so that Mike can see that we now have mild Mike Ryan Mondays or whatever it is that your branding was for this segment? Not the hockey show.
Guess everyone's an idea man now.
Yeah, we'll get back to that in a second.
It looks
there it
good.
is. There
It
it
looks
is.
good.
There it is. It's a bit of beef jerky of some sort. and it's Mild Mike Monday. And this was Jason's idea, everybody. Jason's idea.
I see what they're going for with that sauce packet. I won't say the name of the company.
How are you liking that, Mike?
We all know what company he's going for there.
Is that the branding you want, Mike? Jason was working on it all weekend.
I don't like it.
Okay.
Yeah,
so we won't do that.
No.
Billy doesn't like Wild
Yeah.
Wednesday. We can't win around
No,
here.
he approached me after the last Wild Willy Wednesday. He's like, "Hey, I know they were joking about it, but I'd really like to do this for you." I'm like, "No, thanks. I'm good. I don't."
Above and beyond, he did it anyway.
He's like, "No." So
I don't get like Manic Mike Monday would be something.
I don't want a day.
But Mild Mike, like why
good.
Mild Mike Monday?
I think because he's trying to go the opposite of wacky.
I'm good. I don't need a day. Thank you.
Cut to Jason. Take 3.
Today's a good day to listen to me. Take it off. Just take it down, please.
I like it.
Thank you.
It's growing on me.
So we will get back at some point to Mild Mike Monday, but right
Clear
now
it.
it's shirt.
I mean, you guys haven't been listening today. Clear it.
Right now it's Shirt Tuesday. Greg Cody, I want to just marvel at Roy. You guys did understand. You guys saw that in the second clip that we played, Roy never stopped talking, and you heard not one single word that he said. Roy was trying to broadcast through the delirium, and Roy, did you get a word off that anyone heard? A word.
I don't think I heard myself. It was so loud in there.
Okay, but so what got achieved there?
Probably nothing. You get the ambiance of the place that we're in is the Dead Flamingo, formerly known as Casa Tiki. Thank you for housing us for the live stream. But it was loud. It was I just could not hear myself talk.
Roy, that's where you got to lay out the great broadcasters. Let the crowd tell the story, right? All of a sudden, you hear the roar of the crowd. Once it simmers down, all of a sudden, Brad Marchand scores.
Well, I'm no Doc Emmerich, so yeah, you're right.
But how does this work, though? Has Casa Tiki or the Dead Flamingo ever had quite this much hockey in its bones?
No, I don't think so. But I was watching videos. I don't think I've ever seen so much ass being thrown.
Place
at
was
Panther.
electric.
There was a lot of ass being
There's
thrown.
nothing like the Dead Flamingo on a Friday
Roy
night,
was throwing
baby.
ass. It was
Trust
crazy.
me.
Wait a minute. Ass was being thrown?
Yeah, Roy was throwing ass.
I thought that the Panthers took ass. That's what Zaslow told me.
I don't want to.
We've covered this on Mystery Crate. Roy doesn't wear a wedding ring, so you get confusing out here sometimes for the ladies.
Roy doesn't wear a wedding ring?
It was stolen.
That's what he says.
How long ago?
But
The wedding day.
But you should see him out in the wild.
When did you get married?
I don't know.
We've done this story before on the show and on Mystery Crate, but we can rehash.
You can't
if
go
you guys
get
would
another
like.
one. It's only one. Only one. I'm with you, Roy. I feel you, dog.
15 years.
Yeah, you don't need it.
Yeah, that's true. I don't need it. Yeah,
don't need
that's absolutely true.
I bring that up to say sometimes on a Friday night when Roy's out, people get confused.
Start throwing it.
Chris, just so that you understand, okay? Even though the story's been told by Roy twice, to some it might be a new story that he had his wedding ring stolen on his wedding day, perhaps not to just be skipped right past, because it does make us want to ask follow-up questions, right? Like on your wedding day, I'm guessing you immediately get in trouble with your wife.
No, because her ring got stolen as well, and my ring got stolen. Apparently, I was followed home, and she was followed home the night before the wedding, and somebody broke into our cars.
Because we were all at this wedding, and if you guys all remember, it took a while to start, and it was because they were looking for rings.
It's a horrible story.
It really is.
Truly horrible.
Awful.
And he's been married for like 9 years. Just like, I'm not going to, it got stolen 9 years ago.
It's kind of beautiful in a way. It's like it's the material things of the world don't matter. They got married, and I don't know what they used in substitute for a ring, but it could be a really beautiful story.
Well,
and that's why you don't replace it, because nothing matters to their relationship other than them, Roy.
I'm
fighting for you, baby, because you're in a bad way.
Oh, come on, man.
Tough spot.
I'm fighting for you, baby.
Well, I did go to the Walmart next to Hard Rock Stadium and bought a replacement ring for real cheap.
It's where you go.
Okay, that just hurt my heart. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. No, I don't want to be classist about this. And I don't want to be elitist about this. Okay. But I just don't think Walmart with engagement rings, and I may have this wrong. This may be just, I haven't been in Walmart in a while, so I don't know what their jewelry situation is.
Do you ask like a cashier, like, where are your wedding rings at?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did.
So forgive me. Do I have this wrong when I ask the question legitimately of if your wedding day has your wedding ring stolen and then you have to go to Walmart to get replacement
That's good luck,
rings,
they say.
That sentence is good luck?
Yeah.
That sentence I just said is good luck.
Well, I've been married for 10 years, so.
Oh, happy anniversary, Roy.
Oh, thank you.
So she wears a ring, but you don't.
Correct. I've asked her, hey, maybe I should get a wedding band. I asked her this like 3 or 4 times in 10 years. I'm like, no, doesn't matter. Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I don't wear a wedding ring. What's the big deal about a wedding ring? I need
It's a
a
big deal to my
reminder
wife.
that I'm married.
And you're fighting them off too, though.
It's the public show of your taking.
His narcissism runs so deep on love. He thinks the ring is the reminder that he's in love.
I mean, why do you wear a wedding ring? I'm asking all my fellow married people out there.
Because you're taken, you're not available.
My wife really likes it.
On Friday at Casa Tiki or at the Dead Flamingo.
My wife really likes
when
it.
When ass is being launched to my trapeze across the floor. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was
It
just
is
focused
a
on the
little
game.
reminder. If ass gets launched, you catch the ass, and then you feel something. Not only do you feel the ass that you caught, but you feel a little ring that says, hey, why'd you throw that ass back?
I'd like to know again whether Latin hockey is now a thing in the depths of Dade, South Florida, when Roy can't be heard because at a place I associate with Latin, the place is paying enough attention to what would normally be a soccer game to hockey for me not to be able to hear Walter Cronkite over here delivering the news.
Oh, Marchand! Marchand! Breakaway! Back shot! Rangers win!
You heard Ethan, though.
Why can't we hear anything he's saying?
I love that Cynthia, like 40 seconds in there, just like
Armin,
gives
yeah.
to Roy, like, Roy, something good happened. Wake up.
Meadowlark Media, somebody, I'm imploring you. Stop Ethan now. If you guys let this keep going, it won't get better. It won't get better when he's around microphones. Roy is trying to speak and I can't hear him. But Ethan mics work fine. And that's exactly where a show gets torn apart, soap opera style, because the third voice comes for the first voice and it gets cutthroat. I've heard Ethan's opinions on hockey more than anyone here. God Almighty, does Ethan want his opinions heard on hockey?
I got to defend Ethan. In that moment, you want chaos. You want screaming. Like, you don't want just laying out for Roy.
Roy was trying to broadcast, and
What?
Roy was.
What?
I couldn't hear Roy. You couldn't
That's
hear
fair.
Roy.
At
but
one
Ethan
point,
we
I
can
hear game 2. I hear Roy say at one point.
Anyway, moving on to other things. I've moved too far away from Greg Cody's feud with White Hat. It's the most attention I've gotten from him in about 6 months because he wants to go right back at White Hat because it allows him to promote his podcast and delve into his every narcissism because he's got a feud. And this hockey final has felt less good than the last one when he inserted himself in the middle of the final with McDavid is overrated.
Yeah.
So he's holding on to the embers of this particular feud to broadcast to promote your podcast with your feud with White Hat that I was told by Chris I would find disappointing. That I would find your feud with White Hat to have died a little bit on your podcast.
I would say that because Dan, Dan, he likes to, when he gets people like, hey, like you guys were, they both said things. That's a good point, Greg. There was a lot of, I see your side of it type stuff.
Look, they were cowards. The What Chaos podcast, they were cowards by not inviting me on to defend myself. So being the bigger man, I invited White Hat onto my podcast in the episode that dropped today, and we had a conversation. I think at one point he did reluctantly apologize for having called me senile.
I mean, you also praised Connor McDavid, so you guys were both kind of like, I see your side a little bit.
Yeah, I praised Connor McDavid like I always do as a prerequisite for saying, but he's still McOverrated and will be until he wins the Stanley Cup. Has he won the Stanley Cup yet? No, I don't think so.
It's so great. Him being defiantly stubborn on, well, my point's not wrong yet.
No, it isn't. As a matter of fact, it's righter and righter with every step he takes, closer to not winning again.
But
now, had they lost the other night and they're down 2-0, I might not be quite as loud on the subject today, to be perfectly
the one
frank.
thing I do want to play from this was our promo video that we put out. I guess Yeti did this this was a good job by Yeti without even talking to me. He had my dad, hey, go in the garage, do some promo talk. I'm going to put together a thing. So I want to play our promo video for White Hat versus Senile Old Man, and I want you to tell me how many beers my dad's had.
That kind of thing. We wanted to have this guy on the show, and respectfully, that kind of thing. I would have put 2 forks through my eyeballs.
Pete Blackburn, it is time to dance to the music. You went on your podcast and called me a senile old man.
But he's a senile old man.
Okay, you know what? Because you didn't have the nerve to have me on your podcast to respond to that.
And I would have put forks in my eyeballs and spoons straight through my ears.
So, here's what happened. I demanded that you be on my podcast to dance to the music. Dance to the music. And that's happening when we drop Monday morning. Will you apologize? I doubt it, but let's find out.
It's a good promo.
Great job by Yeti.
Yeah,
It was
good
a good
stuff.
job.
Your tongue is pretty heavy.
That was great.
That part's great. Blackburn singing.
I am mortified by the shape of your garage. What the area you're prowling around
Exposed
with,
brick back there.
It's so disgusting.
I know the door could use a paint job.
No, I need
That
to,
door, the
no,
paint
this
has been
is-
coming
that
off
door,
that door.
No, that door has looked like that for 30 years.
That's a door?
Yeah, David Dorr, Roy's.
You
Thank
have
you
to
clarifying.
explain it. If you have to explain it, David Dorr, Roy's. No, you can't. It can't be. You have to explain it.
That is a bad door.
Greg, how are you not embarrassed by this?
Yeah.
Chris, how many beers had he had when he did this promo?
I don't know.
Why would he even say that? Was I slurring my words?
A little bit, yeah. Your tongue was heavy.
All right, let's watch this again. This wrestling promo. This is the height of it. It doesn't get better than this. But look at the whole garage. Do me this favor, okay? Try not to be distracted by his bloated, drunk face and his just general narcissism.
He's not denying it. He just sat back and took that accusation.
Dad, did he have you do that yesterday afternoon?
Greg, how many
Hammered.
beers? How many beers?
My man.
How many beers in?
I can't remember. I don't
Okay.
keep track.
All right.
What about my wife?
That kind of thing. I wanted to have this guy on the show, and respectfully, that kind of thing. I would have put 2
Terrifying.
forks through my eyeballs.
Pete Blackburn, it is time to dance
That's the
to
office.
the music.
That's
You went
that's
on
the
your
office. Oh, is
podcast
that the garage? That's the garage.
and called me a senile old man.
But he's a senile old man.
Okay, you know what? Because you didn't have the nerve to have me on your podcast to respond to that.
And I would have put forks in my eyeballs and spoons straight through my ears.
So, here's what happened. I demanded that you be on my podcast to dance to the music. Dance to the music. And that's happening when we drop Monday morning.
Tony.
Will you apologize? I doubt it, but let's find out. Blackburn singing in the dead of night.
That part made me laugh out loud.
That door looks like it's out of the original Saw movie.
I was thinking the same exact thing.
That is a place where people are tortured and die horrible deaths, nothing but suffering till the very end.
His face is terrifying when he says that kind of thing. Imagine him leaning over you like,
everything happening there is haunting. Connor McDavid's dad should be fearful that cometh his way.
This is my dad in a nutshell. It's a horrific looking door,
Yes.
and then Wild Bill Cody's cane.
That's right.
Paying
There-
homage to his
There it
father
is.
right above
I
it.
want you guys to enjoy the celebration. There it is. Cody in all his power. 7 beers in on a Sunday afternoon.
Pretty good guess.
7, 8 beers in. That door, tell me it's not out of the movie Saw. Can you show me or play for me any of the podcast, Greg Cody Show, featuring Greg Cody, his feud with the White Hat?
I just can't still get over the fact that Greg, while being accused of being a senile old man earlier this week, started this episode talking about a colonoscopy. I still can't get over that.
I'm not pandering to anybody. You know, I'm talking about what goes on in my life. The photos of my colon.
Okay, we don't need to get into it.
You need to put those in a frame in the Louvre. That's how wonderful my colon is. How many polyps? I had as many polyps as McDavid has Stanley Cups. None.
Joke again.
Okay? That's what I want to say. Okay, and I don't mean to rub that in, White Hat.
We just kept calling him White Hat the whole episode.
I couldn't remember his name.
You think the joke is so good about having as many championships as you have polyps that you should make
good line. It's good. Yeah, no, it's really good. It's strong.
Strong line.
It's strong.
That number is 3.
I mean, you know, most people have a couple of polyps, to be honest with you. I'm a 70-year-old man.
Do you know that?
I have a beautiful colon.
I'm going to take your word for it.
Yeah, I had as many polyps as McDavid has Stanley Cups. It's a fact, Jack, right there.
Oh, you actually got it right. Good job.
Thank you. Thanks, Roy.
But have you guys talked about redoing the door? Like, has there been a conversation about redoing that door?
No, there hasn't.
I know. I like it. Like, it would be weird. This ambiance. It's a garage for a man to be manly in there.
Yes.
Like, it looks, in the picture of him, he looks like a deranged cassowary, and it makes me so happy.
Thank you.
Look at that, man.
I think.
I want to get back to, for a moment here, because of how much I enjoyed the weekend, just sports being maximum sports, and specifically what tennis does at its best, because there are no teammates in tennis. After 5 hours, no one's coming to help you. You're in a historic match, and it's gonna, you're in what you're in the middle of. And I can tell you the stories back to heavyweight fighting, George Foreman, Muhammad Ali. All of sports leadership throughout time will tell you that the other person wants to quit too. The test of wills that is 5 hours in, you're tired, but you want something just as badly as they do. It stops being physical, becomes some sort of mental, meditative state. And I would assume the very best of the best love it there.
Yeah.
Love it.
We've
there.
just been talking about the theater, but there are some people in our audience that are hearing about this match and how good it was via our show. And we must tell the audience that Sinner had triple match point 3 hours into this match. And Alcaraz battled all the way back. In fact, after Alcaraz won in the fifth set, there was a graphic that said time since Jannik Sinner's triple match point. Like, this was an incredible comeback. I understand both people want to quit. One very clearly wanted to quit less, and that was Alcaraz.
Except the thing about it that was so impressive and enjoyable to me is they're both incredible champions that fought back. Because normally in a situation like that, you get like a collapse. There were times, so once Alcaraz fought all the way back and took control of that match, Sinner's limping around, grabbing for cramps, but then retakes the match. And we're like, damn, Alcaraz did all this and he's not going to win. Then Alcaraz takes it all the way back and Sinner's fights back. That's the mental toughness that I was speaking of that's so incredibly impressive. And then it also was made even more enjoyable because of the clash of styles. Like Sinner's a giant smashing server, power tennis player, and Alcaraz is this ridiculous, like he has power too, but he's this ridiculous athlete that's twisting the ball on these absurd angles and gets to everything. Like, it's just so fun watching what looks like a wildfire versus a snowstorm, and you don't know who's gonna win. And that's the part to me that just got me so like entranced by this game or this match.
I have to say, I have to give a shout out to Coco Gauff, though. I mean, we're talking about the men's match, and rightfully so. It was a marathon. It was epic. Coco Gauff, who's from around here, lives about 90 miles north of here in Delray Beach. She just won her second major at age 21. She can be what we've been missing since Serena Williams retired. She can be that. I'm not saying she will be, but this is not a false alarm. Coco Gauff is that good. She just beat the world's number one player. It was 2 1-versus-2 matchups this weekend, not just the men.
Yeah, and Gauff, I think she's been on the scene since she was about 14 or 15 years old, and I think we had expectations of her being as good as Serena. And again, I hate to keep harping on this mentality stuff, but particularly in these individual sports, for someone that young to deal with the level of disappointment and frustration that she's dealt with, and we've seen other athletes and tennis players specifically not be able to deal with it. For her to still be around and not have reached this Serena level and still still be competitive. And in a match like yesterday or the day before, where the wind is blowing, it's a tough situation, and it essentially broke Sabalenka, she still fought through.
I wanted, though, to address what you're saying there, expected to be Serena. Like, that needs to stop. We shouldn't do that to anybody. Like, that's
You
just,
really shouldn't do that to anyone.
To anybody.
It's
That's
an
not
unreachable standard.
It's so
and it hurts
Agreed.
WTA. It really does.
I mean, just that can't be it. Like, we're going to go ahead and concede, yes, that's the most powerful force I've ever seen in that sport. Totally changed it in terms of it becoming a power game. Because it's not like Sabalenka's not playing power.
No, she's strong.
But I think today's story is going to be, instead of about Goff overcoming that strength, Sabalenka sore loser. And so now a women's match that pales to the men's match only because the male's match was epic for all time.
Yeah, probably the second greatest
But
men's
no, what
final I've
happens
seen.
is Coco Gauff's winning gets lost in that.
Right, yes.
Like can't even get out of the tennis thicket of being celebrated the way that it should be for someone who can never and will never be Serena, no matter how much she wins, because that ain't fair to do to anybody.
But to make clear, when I say she can be the next Serena, I don't mean, I'm not counting majors. I don't mean she can win 15, 20 majors. What I mean is I think she has a chance to fill the vacuum and become the acknowledged face of American women's tennis. I think she has that. And you know,
I think she does have it already.
I don't know. Keys. I mean, there's a couple of other women who are in the top 10.
It's pretty clear. It's Coco. And what was so cool about the French Open, just on both sides, was you had finals 1 versus 2 in each side, which on clay, it's such a variable that is hard to predict, and there's so many specialists that you don't typically get that. And to have 1 versus 2 meet in the final in both sides, and also for those matches to deliver, it was a great weekend for the sport. I also thought Turner knocked it out of the park as a first-time rights holder. They were fantastic.
I think it was a huge victory for Goff, and the reason is that she won the 23 U.S. Open, so it's going on 2 years now. When you win one major and you don't win a second one for a couple of years, even though it's just a couple of years, maybe some doubts creep in. So the fact that she won that second major, I think, is huge for
And
her.
Sabalenka was on incredible form. She was absolutely mowing through people, winning tournament after tournament. So for Coco to stand in front of that and take Sabalenka's best shot and make Sabalenka seem like a sore loser, which is also changing the narrative. Remember the Olympic moment that Coco Gauff had where she kind of gave off sore losers. So for her to come out of that and put the shoe on the other foot, and for Sabalenka to have this moment, honestly, it's a little disappointing because I think both are great.
It was big for tennis, too, not just golf.
Oh, yeah.
I mentioned golf?
No.
I'm sorry.
It wasn't you.
It was a great golf weekend as well. Canadian Open.
Was it?
I want to get back to Coco Gauff here, explaining that this trophy is a little small. It's a bit like a water bottle. It is. Yeah, I don't have this wrong, right? That as tennis took over sports for a day, or tried to, around what basketball was doing last night, you had an epic men's match, one that you remember because it's just stretching your day out, your morning out. And then you've got Coco Gauff winning a trophy where she ends up being is she going to be the fourth story? Because Sabalenka's sore loser talk is something that people are going to turn into the story of her winning this tiny water bottle trophy.
Hi, I just won French Open for Roland Garros, and this is the trophy that you guys see, the one that we take pictures with, do press with, and all that. But actually, we don't get to take this home. This stays with the tournament, and I'm going to show you guys the one we take home. It's a lot smaller. So this is the one we take home. It's like a mini replica of the trophy, and yeah, I guess to compare it, it's really small. So reference, this is a Perrier bottle. This is a cup. And that's how small it is. But, it's the memories that matter the most.
French Open not liking that.
Is it the memories that matter most, or do you want some good hardware there? Like, how much is that?
I think it's the prize pool money that matters the most.
Not only is it small, but it sounded flimsy. The way it opened, it sounded like.
But do we know very little about perhaps fine merchandise like this? Is it possible that this is very well made and worth thousands of dollars? It should be, should it not?
It didn't sound like it.
It sounded like 10.
I mean, I'm sure it's pretty valuable because they only give out one every year for each side, so it's probably pretty valuable. It's not something I think you would. Well, I guess to put in a trophy closet is perfect.
I bet you guys could look it up and find out what that is actually worth, because I'm going to guess it's worth thousands of dollars. You guys think it's aluminum or made of tin. You think it's $99. You think you buy it in the same jewelry place that you buy your Walmart engagement stuff.
Out of gift shop.
You think that's $99.99? I can get that trophy if I just go to Amazon.
Right next to the oversized tennis ball.
Does Walmart have a jewelry department?
Yes. Yes.
I never knew that.
We already
You sound
did
classist.
this. Yes, I already apologized for this. Where were you?
Well, you
when
also brought it back to it, Dan.
It's in the middle of the store, right behind the registers.
Okay. I was in a Walmart yesterday for the first time in years. Didn't even consider that you could buy a ring there. That's crazy.
Were you not here when we just discussed this?
Did you discuss that Walmart has a jewelry store?
Were you not here?
No, I don't remember that being discussed.
Shirt Tuesday.
I mean, old white hat there. It was on to something.
I don't remember that being discussed. Maybe I was doing show research. Sometimes I do. Sometimes when you say, Greg, quit typing, it's loud, I'm doing show research.
But he's a senile old man.
Okay,
Minor penalty, 2 minutes for not listening.
No, replay when that was discussed. I remember him saying that he bought his ring in a Walmart.
Greg, I said I'm going to sound classist and elitist here. I was not aware that they sold engagement rings at Walmart. I said
that's not the same thing. That's not the same thing as asking whether or not they have a jewelry department. You can sell a ring without having an entire department.
Did you not
devoted
hear
to
the
jewelry.
penalty?
No, I hadn't heard that either.
Minor penalty, 2 minutes for not listening.
It's true. You know what? I accept that penalty because I wasn't listening.
Well, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for being kind enough to accept the penalty.
Penalties I don't agree with, but this one I did.
The shirt looks great, though, buddy.
The small replica trophy is made of pure silver.
Thank you.
So at 14 kilograms of silver, you take the market price in. This is all courtesy of artificial intelligence, by the way.
So it may not be right.
Raw material value of around $11,000 to $14,000, if that is indeed pure silver.
That's not true.
The men take home a similar size trophy, right? Like, I think that's the only way that it would be that it would offend me, is if somehow they send
It's 4 times bigger.
Yeah.
Typically, although Nadal did receive a full-size replica in 2017 after winning his 10th, a unique honor.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. You got to get 10.
I'll allow it.
Thank you for allowing it, Chris. I will tell you guys that I got scared there, that all of a sudden, because I don't know the value of or weight of gold or silver, that I have from last week a scar on me from thinking that $1 million worth of gold would weight down a car so much that it couldn't move. And then you guys told me, nah, it's about 9 pounds worth of gold. When it came to silver, I was scared that you were about to say, no, it's made of pure silver, and you can get it for $12 because whatever. I don't know that Nadal's is that size, though. You're telling me, you're saying, I know he got the real one.
Nadal, for his 10th,
One
he got
time.
a full-size replica.
The male trophy has to be the same size, does it
Yes.
not? Were you crossing your fingers, Chris?
For us, for all mankind.
In terms of being
Not
a
a
much,
good look.
in terms of being a much smaller replica, yes, that's the case for the men's.
Am I an asshole for, and is Greg an asshole for not knowing that Walmart had a jewelry department?
I think it just shows that you guys don't step in a Walmart.
I mean, it's not a new thing. Like, I feel like Kmart had a jewelry department when I was a kid. Like, the
RIP.
same sort of stores always had a jewelry department.
Walgreens.
I'm not sure that I...
Service merchandise.
Service
Sears.
Mervyn's.
We're in agreement
Outdoors.
that it is a horror story beyond horror stories to have on your wedding day a robbery that steals the ring and then forces you to go to Walmart or anywhere in an emergency to have a part of your wedding day be trying to retrieve something that was stolen from you so that you can have a memory of the day that doesn't feel taken by somebody.
Yeah, my mom blamed me for it.
Going to
While she was
Walmart
in the car.
Going to Walmart just feels rushed. It's not on that. It's not that I'm judging going to Walmart. In that spot, if a ring is stolen, this is a big purchase. All right, we're gonna slow down here. We're gonna take a beat. We're gonna get married, and we'll get a ring at a later date.
Hopefully it was insured, but I might be alone in this and like understanding that at that moment it feels terrible, but I kind of think it's a cool story overall. And at the end, it's like when you have this different ring, you're like, hey, Let me tell you how this happened.
It's much more exciting than my wedding day story. They just were there, and I put them on.
Mine
Pretty boring.
Being
Tell
a
the
victim is
story.
exciting. Yeah.
You guys are putting a good face on it. Being a victim is
I still have
romantic and
mine.
beautiful sometimes. Dominique did say earlier it's beautiful.
I think it is.
It is memorable. I will give you memorable.
Like if it were a ring that like stood out, was unique in its quality, and people are like, hey, it sparks the story. Like, why does Roy have a lime green plastic ring? Well, let me tell you, Princess Claire, about the day me and your mother got married. It was a harrowing story, but now
I left my car unlocked.
10 years later, we're still together, and that's all that matters.
But if a wedding ring is indeed a symbol for love and nothing more, the idea that you would have the intimate and violation of having it stolen when symbolically it meant something to you as a gift to your wife that was forever, to have it immediately stolen symbolically. Not beautiful.
I think it's beautiful. We can agree to disagree. We can find, to each their own, I guess.
It's human.
I think it's beautiful.
Greg returns breathless from his penalty with his books in tow and his publicity in tow. The Greg Cody Show with Greg Cody.
I thought you were going to say featuring.
Featuring
Yeah,
Greg Cody.
Thank
Greg
you.
Cody,
Yeah, there you go.
Finally, you
featuring
got
Greg
learned.
Cody. We have more sound from his beef that went polite with White Hat. It seems like we're stealing all the material and not giving anybody any reason to go check out his pod.
Oh, there's plenty more in there, believe me.
We don't have another clip. We had the promo wrestling video where he's hammered, and we had the one that he's.
All right, so
wasn't
we
hammered.
agree that he's...
No, I wasn't hammered. I play along.
Yeah.
You know, when people say things like that, what am I going to do? Argue? I wasn't hammered. Okay.
The NBA Finals last night corrected themselves, and I would have said after how amazing Game 1 was that I would assume that what will happen after that is the same thing that happened when Allen Iverson stepped over Tyronn Lue to beat the Lakers in Los Angeles a million years ago and then lost in 5 games.
4 straight.
Because, yeah, I think that's what's going to happen here, but what a charming thing that Indiana did in Game 1. I think it's what most people expect to happen. But when Indiana wins Game 1 and wins that way, it makes it at least a more interesting series. It's the best possible result you could have gotten in Game 1, and then it corrects itself because OKC never loses 2 in a row. They always do that. They haven't lost 2 in a row since like 2023.
Wow.
That defense is asphyxiating. Halliburton and everyone on that team. Like, I remember watching the game last night and feeling like Siakam was like having a good game, and then like he hit a bunch of free throws. But then I looked at the box score afterwards, and it's like he was 3 for 11. Like, he was the most productive, it felt like, or effective, like play creator who was getting into the paint, and he himself was getting destroyed.
Well,
That
I
team
want
is
to ask you guys how you feel about when you're watching playing for the championship. We've talked so much. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is not going to work for the storylines you want on narratives when the markets are 25 and 47. How am I going to sell to the American people, hey, you know how this thing wins? It chokes you out.
Yeah.
It just chokes you out. Your offense will be extinguished because they've got athletes and like, look, I don't know how to measure what Lou Dort does, but you're going to go 3 for 11 if you're Siakam, and it's no knock on Siakam.
Torture chamber.
But I'm saying, like, how do we sell that as next phase for the league? Nobody was doing that on narrative when they tried.
I think Game 1 did plenty to sell this series to the American people, and I do kind of think that looking at the ratings or arguing about the ratings is relatively lame. And I know it's a crutch for people that don't watch a series because I used it for Bucks Suns when I did not watch that series or care about it, and I just pointed the ratings as affirmation. See, I'm not the only person that doesn't care about this, but it doesn't matter. Like, the landscape of television ratings has changed so much that you just kind of got to totally disregard that. I'll worry about ratings when the broadcasters and league worry about ratings.
Exactly. And the same point, too, like, ratings are for dorks. Who cares about what the ratings are? Does the ratings change how the basketball is being played? No, it's the billionaires that own the companies are like, damn, the ratings are down. What do I give a shit about that? I saw great ball, okay? If you're not watching for the ball, what are you doing? You're watching for the ratings? What are you, a dork?
All right,
talk about some ball then. You're worse than talking about ratings is talking about people who talk about ratings.
That's what I'm saying, but I had to make my point known.
It was already made.
Do you like ratings talk?
I don't like ratings talk.
Okay, just making sure.
I want to talk some dork.
But he's telling you, give him some ball. He doesn't want something.
Okay.
Give him some ball.
Give me some Wiggins talk,
Excellent.
baby.
So what do the Pacers do better than anybody else in the league except for Oklahoma
I'm not
City?
here to take a quiz.
Exactly right.
They come back.
Well said.
Not only do they come back, they use their bench great, right? You can look at 8, 9, 10, 11 guys on that Pacer team, be like, they can score, they can do their things. Who does it better? Oklahoma City. They finally showed it yesterday. Aaron Wiggins with 19 points, Caruso with 20 points. You have all these scores that come out of nowhere and fill these roles, and then you have SGA who's just efficient and quietly putting up 35 points a game, where it's like, oh, okay, this is really easy when you pair that with the best defense in NBA history.
I know he had the moment game 1, but it seems as though Halliburton against his defense is having a really difficult time,
dude?
2 games in, and it may be too much to overcome. That being said, they did steal one on the road.
That's all you gotta do is steal one.
Yeah,
That's all you gotta do.
And like Zaz mentioned on Friday, no matter what, they're going to have a game where we can level this thing up 2-2 back home at the very least.
Halliburton didn't even play that well in game 1. I think he had like 15 points. He just happened to hit the game winner. But I will say Gilgeous-Alexander to me is a
Him too.
A breath of fresh air. He's a breath of fresh air. I love his game. I love that the MVP is a mid-range jumper guy who gets to the foul line. We're not always talking about threes, draining threes. He doesn't care that much about threes. Wonderful. Good for the NBA. Very good for the NBA because he's different than the usual star.
Disagree on all counts, including how you said his name.
Okay. You don't like that somebody who has a mid-range jumper can win an MVP in the modern NBA?
I don't like the free throw stuff as much because
Free throws and defense don't excite me.
Well, you're spoiled. You're used to something else.
I mean, I think the pushback, so the SGA stuff is really fun because it's unique. I think that's also why we find Jokic particularly fun because it's unique. It's not something that we've become accustomed to. But I think that we are trying to pretend like we're some level of ball lovers that we're not when we don't.
Speak for yourself.
When we're not honest about the best shit to watch is somebody slashing and banging and doing exciting stuff that we grew up falling in love with. Like, we can pretend that SGA is something we love, which, no, not pretend. SGA is something we love, but you cannot lie to me and tell me that you wouldn't rather see Minnesota go off in that situation.
Well, of course, when you watch Anthony
that's
Edwards
all.
and the way he plays, you're like, oh, yeah, that's it right there. Like,
That's all I'm
that's what the
saying.
MVP should look like.
That's
But
all
then
I'm
SGA goes for 38 on 11 of 10 shooting, or 10 of 11 shooting. You're like,
Put
oh,
it on the
that's
poll, please, Juju, at Le Batard Show. Our ratings for dorks, is it about knowing and speaking ball? Lou Dort, I know his name's not actually Lou, but that is the least imposing name that has ever had a
Should he go by his
torture
full name,
chamber.
Lou Gens?
Lou Dort doesn't work for me as imposing
Is it
defense.
Dort or is it Lou?
It's the Lou that's the Lou.
The Dort for me.
Yeah,
Well,
Dort.
Dort.
It's Dort.
One syllable, just
Lou Dort.
Is it the two? There's something about Lou Dort that doesn't work as a torture chamber device.
I feel like it's the or in it that's like, it's not, it's
I think it's the
one
whole 2 syllables of the thing.
You think so?
It's Lou Dort.
I think it's those specific syllables because I feel like you could hit somebody with something sharp if you had sharper syllables. It's just that it's like
The best
endure.
the baseball player Ed Ott. Is it as funny? Ed Ott.
Nah,
Ed
a
Ott.
dude. See, it's because it's sharper. It's Ed Ott. It feels it's punchy.
Yeah, but one syllable. Lou Dort. We're in agreement, right? That Lou Dort doesn't give off intimidation, but we are disagreeing about the fact that we're not going to know how to cover a team that just strangles you to death. Like, how is that storylines and drama? How's that next face of the league stuff?
I mean, when they have the MVP, it goes beyond just that.
Right. Why are we afraid of?
They also score a lot of.
This is a new and unimproved Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz. Gamble on by DraftKings.
Join us in the cheap seats this Wednesday night. Dan and the Kid Mero are watching Game 3 of the NBA Finals presented by Remy Martin. Catch the live stream starting at 8 o'clock Eastern on the Le Batard Show YouTube channel.
When is Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Final? They're flip-flopping
Thursday.
nights, so it's Thursday. We will. How many more hockey live streams are you doing off of these games, Roy, where we can get this broadcasting excellence amid the chaos? And we didn't talk enough about how great the Spanish sentence "silence is everywhere" is as a haunting description. Like just great. Talking of Edmonton, silence is everywhere. And everyone knowing what it means makes it just a wonderful description.
I actually have an update. Angel Resto, who is our excellent, graphics and everything, do-it-all guy. In the midst of the chaos of what we're trying to translate, Angel picked it up. He said "silencio sepulcral," which is like a tomb-like quiet. So it's not even the silence is everywhere. It's like a graveyard tomb-like silence. Good catch by Angel.
Look, you just made Dominique whistle that out the way you'd imagine in a graveyard where Marchand had just scored to scare Edmonton. Because that's how quickly it flips, right? And we know the thing that we haven't talked about, because basketball is a bit of a foregone conclusion. Every team that's ever looked like OKC wins the championship. Throughout history, 68 wins, that kind of turnover differential, that kind of defense, and being able to have a guy, Halliburton shooting 20%. He's got 4 assists when he's guarded by Dort. He's got 8 turnovers. That hasn't happened in a 2-game stretch since March of last year. This team is going to do that to you, and it would be only if the randomness of threes in today's basketball does Indiana somehow get saved from what seems inevitable. But hockey's not the same thing. I don't know who should be favored in this series. I know the money's come in on Edmonton.
They were both kind of favored.
But the first 2 games, this is the insanity of what I'm witnessing. Better than advertised, wildly beyond expectations, and we're 2 games in on what we know to be the 2 best teams, slugging it out at the very top in a way that makes everyone in hockey be like, oh shit, these are heavyweights throwing haymakers.
I don't think it's a hyperbolic take either, because if you watch the TNT coverage, they're all kind of astonished at what they're watching. And Anson Carter the other day is like, this might be... We're heading down a path here where this might be the greatest Stanley Cup final ever.
I'm trying to think of other sports where you've heard that in a championship, where it's just, they're all just like, how about this?
Hell yeah.
This is awesome.
Hell yeah.
I mean, it reminds me a little bit of Cavs, Warriors, where it felt like it was building towards something. Also, like Heat, Spurs. But in this, I think the storylines are perfect too, because McDavid falls into this perfect category of he's by far clearly the best player who has to overcome
where LeBron
this
was with the Heat.
Right. It's the same sort of thing, and that's easy that's what is great for casuals. People who call pucks balls, they still enjoy watching hockey in this moment because that situation is such an easily told story.
It's a good correction you just made. There is one other time in basketball history where this isn't a foregone conclusion. It was when Draymond started kicking everyone in the junk, and that Golden State team that won 72 games lost while up 3-1 to LeBron James. But it's pretty predictable what's going to happen in basketball. Perhaps the last 7 years have not been predictable in basketball. Last 7 years, different champion all the time. You guys talking about SGA here and how it is that he, as the MVP of the league, seizes the league. He's got more points through 2 games, any player, first 2 games ever, Michael Jordan included. But and yawn. And
efficient and kind of boring.
But he's here arguing on behalf of, I like mid-range game, and the rest of us, I want Anthony Edwards.
How is that boring? But you know what's boring? Somebody draining threes for the entire game.
If you can make Jokic boring, I can make SGA boring.
Okay. That's fair.
What was that noise Dominique just made?
It's because I want to support Greg.
But he knows it was a bad take.
I'm just like,
I like something different, okay?
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
I think if everybody serving in a tennis match is serving 100 miles an hour, I want a drop shot every once in a while. I want a slice shot every once in a while. I want something different.
Well, they delivered on that in the men's final, no doubt.
Right.
I think that this is why today is Shirt Tuesday, because I think Greg's shirt is evidence to why he likes SGA, because that shirt is boring, but it's different from what Greg normally wears.
There you
and
go.
so he looks great in it.
Yeah.
And I think the same is true. If we got SGA year after year, final after final, week after week, night after night, I think Greg would recognize it. All right, let me get a little something different.
Dominique has brought me around on this. I am now also for today being Shirt Tuesday on the grounds that it can only be a Shirt Tuesday when Greg Cody says correctly that he longs for the drop shot. In
That's right.
tennis,
That's exactly right.
He does not
Well, you
want...
should be thrilled because Alcaraz is a sicko with how he drops those
a
drop
sicko.
shots.
Beautiful
A
thing.
sicko.
No, it's insane what he does.
It's unfair. It's wrong. Thank you, Roy. Excellent timing.
The faces that his opponents make
Go ahead.
and what he just tries to do,
Yes.
the fact that he even
Asinine.
thinks about these
asinine.
things.
What he is doing with a tennis ball is asinine.
And let's have more of it. Let's have more drop shots, more spin shots. That's Le Batard and I used to play tennis all the time. Usually I'd beat him because I'd frustrate him with my little spin
It was
shot.
bullshit.
It was
look,
great.
he's been a coward this way for a long time. He loves the drop shot. Wait, make him go in and out, make him go side to side, wear
Yes.
him out.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Cowardice.
No, it's not. It's brilliant on my part.
The
but
part of tennis, like that's what you're supposed to do.
I know, but then
No,
you
I'm
see
defending you.
130 mile an hour serves, one after another. Boring.
That's what I was giving him too. 130 miles
yeah,
an hour,
right.
one
in your
after
dreams.
another.
Yeah, three of your serves together weren't 130 miles an hour. But it's the same thing in baseball, right? Everybody pitches the ball 105 miles an hour now. You know what? Where's the knuckleball? Bring back the knuckleball. Bring back a little variety instead of
The
everything.
Negroes.
Yes, bring back Phil and the other guy. What's the other guy's name? Phil Negro
Joe.
and
Charlie Huff?
Was it Joe?
Joe
Negro. Yeah.
The Negroes.
The lesser Negro.
Be careful.
Who's a lesser Negro?
Yeah, Charlie Huff.
Who's a lesser
Joe.
Negro?
Joe is less than Phil. You know, somebody's got to be. They're not even. Phil Negro, by the way, is he in the Hall of Fame? I don't think so.
No.
Should be.
No, he should
Put him
not
in the
be.
Hall of Fame.
I don't want to have this knuckleballers conversation again. I don't want to have this conversation about the Negroes again.
That's art, a knuckleball, in a way that
It is
a
not.
fastball
It is
not.
cowardice. It is cowardice.
Okay, bring back the mid-range jumper. Bring back the
There
spin
it is.
shot.
Okay.
Bring back the knuckleball. You know, let's
the hook shot, too?
Enjoy what's different. A hook shot I
Chest
like.
pass. What about the chest pass?
Yeah, the chest pass. How about the underhanded free throw like
Really,
Rick Barry?
the
Bring
granny.
that gesture.
All that back. The underhanded free
What
throw.
else?
Like,
What
There we
else?
go.
The bank shot. What else? The bank
Oh,
shot.
I
Rex
like
Specs.
that. Yes,
Pooch punt.
I like that.
What else?
Yeah, Sam Jones, Boston Celtics, 1968. Give me that banker. Give me that bank.
Miles Turner gave you one.
Anything
And,
else?
and another thing.
Oh no.
The bunt. Okay, bring back the bunt. Give me a 6-foot hit.
Do you not watch college baseball? They got bunts for days in that.
Well, they're still using metal bats, aren't they?
yeah? What does that have to do with your bunt take, though?
Were you just flexing your
Yeah,
college
yeah,
baseball
that's what-
knowledge
yes.
there?
That's all he was
The
doing.
games are
And
9
they're-
innings.
and they're not metal, incidentally. They're aluminum.
Okay, whatever. An aluminum bat
It is a metal.
disqualifies the sport, in my opinion. And I know, you know, the Canes baseball, they just came within one win of returning to the College World Series for the first time since 2016.
Heartbreaking.
Good for them. Good for them.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, 3-2 loss. But I will say that I don't like a metal bat. Never have. And if you bunt with a metal bat, you know, it dings. It makes that terrible sound, the metal bat. It
What
should
is
be
happening
a,
around
should be
here?
a wood sound.
What is happening? I welcome this. It's my fault. It's because he
All
was
right, I'm
longing.
done.
He was,
No, it's
he was
fine.
longing for the lob, the
Right.
drop shot. The drop shot, excuse me,
Yeah.
not the lob.
Yeah.
He liked the lob too when he'd make me run up there with his
Yes.
bullshit drop shots and then
Damn right. I'd run you all over the court. Run you ragged. That kind of thing. Raggedy Andy. Raggedy Danny. Raggedy Danny. Raggedy Dan would have been better because it sounds like Raggedy Ann. I'm workshopping here. I like that music. Ragtime.
Raggedy Dan would have been the way to go.
Yeah, I know. You know, I'm not perfect.
Dominique has some Don Nelson observations. If you have not been following the career of Don Nelson coached one of my favorite teams of all time, an 8 that took out a 1 because just Steven Jackson and Baron Davis were decided to shoot threes and buried poor Nowitzki and Steve Nash. Buried them both. Don Nelson at the time had a giant gin belly. Giant. Enormous. Looked like a wrecking ball in his stomach. from all the gin he was drinking. I assume. I don't know if it was gin.
He got some sort of Lifetime Achievement Award, and he was at the game last night, and they showed him, and he's 85 years old, and he looks cool as hell. I just was
85? Don
and
Nelson
impressed.
is 85? Is that correct? Is that accurate, what Dominique is saying? Don Nelson, so I remember him with a giant belly. Then he goes to Hawaii, smokes a ton of weed, finds spirituality and enlightenment, and gets a lot healthier. Where are the photos of Don Nelson from last night? You're saying he is now healthy? Because he went through a period from he was very swollen, and then he went to raggedy. He became Raggedy Don. Because he had a lot of oh wow, that's
look at him.
Whoa,
No, he looks good.
I love it.
Whoa,
Outstanding.
That's 85 years old.
Look at that necklace.
That's aloha living right there.
I love it. Don Nelson looked like he's trying to sneak into Wakanda.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Does Don Nelson look like he's trying to sneak into Wakanda?
You let him in?
I wouldn't let him in.
Okay.
It sounds like you were impressed.
You thought about it for a second.
I mean, it's not an immediate turn away.
They're going through the line, and you're like, wait a second.
Just ask him his history. What you been up to? I just need to know what you've been up to.
I do believe he looks like he could be related to me.
Really? Looks like John Skipper.
He's a colonizer?
Tiene pinta.
Mentioned this on the show before, but he built a house made of hemp.
What is going on with that sound Dominique made? I want to understand better. Take me back, Chris, how you saw this through your viewpoint, because you saw, we rarely get to see Dominique quite this vulnerable, okay? I want you guys, he was trying to get in there, and he was trying to talk, but he didn't want to interrupt Greg Cody, because Greg Cody might have been on a roll.
That's what he was like. My dad was doing him, and Dom wanted to support, and then ejected on it. Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was. I tried to give him some support.
Thank you.
And then I just pulled back.
I appreciated the sound, though. I couldn't figure it out. It derailed me for a split second, but then I got back on track. How do you spell that?
You trying to create new onomatopoeias?
What is that?
Greg Cody is willing to concede now that the Panthers need home ice advantage. He is now duly and officially scared of McDavid, even though he pretends not to be. He fluffs off. Oh, look at what McDavid did. That's the most beautiful thing I did. Right around Barkov, our best defender. And now you're finally willing to give it. Now that Draisaitl's doing something in this series, which he didn't in the last one.
He was very clearly hurt in the last series.
You 2 games in are willing to acknowledge, oh, they're better. They're better than they were last year. This is a more formidable challenge for our greatest champion down here in South Florida hockey history.
One of the things that makes it an intriguing series is that both teams are better. The champions are better, and Edmonton is better. They both have depth like crazy, and it's such an offensive series. I thought Paul Maurice, who's a great quote, very intelligent, thoughtful man, he said after the game, after Game 2, that the goaltending in this series is so great. But the offense is so great that and we just saw it with a 5-4 game.
He's praising everything.
He said you could have an 8-7 game in this series, and you could still say the goaltending was good on both ends. And I know what he's talking about. The offense is beating good goaltending, and Skinner's been better than expected.
But you say that they need home ice here. I felt I feel like in this series, with how good the Panthers are on the road, I don't think home ice means a lot in hockey regardless, but in this series, it feels like it means absolutely nothing.
Well, they've been great on the road.
I got 2 questions for you, Greg.
Yeah.
One is going to be a little scarier. I'll leave that for a few minutes from now so you can prepare emotionally for that. The first question is a little easier. What are you going to do? And I hate to say this in front of a lot of Panthers fans, but if Connor McDavid does win the Stanley Cup, what is the column going to be, or how are you going to respond? Because I feel like you owe him and his family and all of Canada something if he does actually reach the mark that you said that is holding back from being
properly rated.
He can't even fathom it. He can't even think of it. He's not even considered the column he has to write if he's wrong.
I have considered it, and I will be very thoughtful. I will give him all the credit in the world for finally catching up to his reputation.
Oh, so you're going to go accumulate all the credit in the world. All the world's credit.
You'll
collect it.
Yes,
all of the credit. All of the credit in the
Yes.
world will be given to
Right.
him.
That's right. I'm going to all the banks. I'm taking out loans. I'm getting all the credit
all the
I can,
credit.
baby.
All the credit
That's
you're going
right.
to give it to him.
Yes.
And what's the second question?
And the second question is a little more uncomfortable.
Okay, first of all, let me just say there's going to be an asterisk to me giving him all the credit because
That's not all the credit if there's an asterisk.
Okay, there is most of the credit.
It's not. Wait.
Listen.
You said all the credit. You said all the credit in the world.
If Edmonton wins the Stanley Cup, but we look back on the final and we say, you know what? McDavid wasn't even their best player in this series.
He's gonna do the pro Draisaitl column. Draisaitl carried him. 7 goals in this series.
If it's true, I'm gonna say it. I do nothing but spit the truth.
Can we instead of this particular silliness, can I just put in front of you, and Dominique, I'm sure you will appreciate this as someone just a connoisseur of high-end excellence. For other hockey players and teams and executives to be watching this series and being like, oh, this is as well as all of this can be done by anybody. This is going to be random. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to allow 5 goals while being the great goaltender that night because we know what we're watching. It's better than everything else that was in the playoffs. It's super rare to have that kind of appreciation from the combatants when the way Florida buzzed through everything. I'm going to keep going through these particulars. Takes out Tampa as a blueprint. New York is a blueprint. Boston is a blueprint. Makes Toronto say our DNA's wrong. Comes from their GM. Carolina is saying, Brindamore, Paul Maurice got me out of the handshake line because he didn't want me to do it. I'm going to go back to that, but I'm still a loser. A loser technically. A loser the way Canada and Carolina are losers.
Carl Anthony Towns.
No individual is a loser, just franchises. Florida going through that and everyone acknowledging this thing's just as good as Florida. We all know it. Somebody's got to win. We'd be really disappointed if all the games don't look something like that. Like, we're not looking for 6-1s here. And if you do find a 6-1, my guess is you think that that McDavid and Draisaitl are the ones going to be doing it. You're not expecting Florida to win 6. You're not expecting Bob to be able to shut out Edmonton.
We lost 1 game last year in the final 8-1.
I'm expecting all the games in the series to feel like the first 2, maybe not overtime, but 50-50 toss-ups. These could be any. Today is, if you're going to see one game, maybe have a bigger spread. It might be tonight because I know Nugent Hopkins might be out for Edmonton. They're mixing up their pairings, and I don't necessarily agree with Nurse maybe taking a defensive pairing one alongside Bouchard. I think Bouchard has proven to be a little shaky defensively, as you saw in the Marchand winner. So if there's ever a chance for Florida to get into some kind of groove, it might be tonight. But I think this is generally what the odds makers tell you. Pick 'em series.
But not just pick 'em. Excellence at the height of excellence. Like, that's the part that I'm saying. I don't know how people feel
right,
about.
But the lines makers don't say that when they put out the lines. I'm sure they would, though, if they had the opportunity.
But I mean,
excellence
I think...
on top of excellence. But yeah, it's a total toss-up. It's going to feel, even if it doesn't go 7, it'll kind of feel the way that I guess like Pacers Knicks felt, in that these are all up for grabs type of games.
I think there are different types of champions from different leagues at different times that reach different levels. And I believe that even my rudimentary hockey knowledge is both of these teams are champion level teams. And it's not so clear. And you can have a team that wins a championship in an off year. They're still champions. It's fine. You don't take anything from them, but you don't appreciate them. You don't respect them, and you don't remember them the way that you would some of these other all-time greats. We're in a situation in this particular Stanley Cup final that feels like both of these teams are so deserving of championship that it feels like whoever wins this, it's going to be a championship that matters more than normal Stanley Cups matter. At least for me, it feels like I'm locked into this series in a way that.
What I'm saying is that this is not always the case. It's not just. I know they play for a championship every year, but it's not every year. Are you okay? Is everything okay there?
Yeah, we're good.
It was weird. We got some feedback on the microphone when you were adjusting your headphone jack. We'll take a look at that after the show. Keep it moving.
Oh no, I had pressed the cough button.
Let's keep it moving.
Feels a lot like Sinner Alcaraz in that way.
No,
who the hell's going to win here? No. These are both really good. If either of these two won, you'd be able to claim this is probably the most impressive.
Except that I'm going a next step on this, because you're saying Sinner Alcaraz for now, and I'm saying that this is Federer, Nadal, this is Djokovic, this is the very top of how this sport can be played, as conceded by the awed hockey announcers who are saying through 2 games, can you believe this? Can you believe that it's exceeding my expectations when I already knew how closely matched they were? I'm saying that when you're watching something historic through 2 games, this is what it looks like. When you know that you're in the middle of something that people are going to remember, where you guys know how they talk about the series last year, because it was like, how do they top the fact that one team was up 3-0 and then it was 3-3 and then everyone got scared? And when Edmonton was coming back, the assumption was that Edmonton was now going to win the series. Now you're talking historically about the country and countries that celebrate hockey not rooting for Florida here. They're rooting for the immortal to be crowned. Right. Florida's in the way. The champion is very much in the way of what everyone who loves hockey is presently watching. It's not just that Florida is, chippy and assholes and Marchand and wherever it is that you don't like them. This team is not being celebrated or rooted for by anyone outside of this market.
I disagree with that. I think that the Panthers, even as the reigning champion, has an underdog quality that Edmonton can't claim. Edmonton can't play that card. They were the betting favorite going in. They have the one guy in the league that everybody insists is the best player ever, McJesus, the next Gretzky. They're not the underdog. Florida's the underdog, even going for a second championship.
Third straight cup final.
Right.
Third straight.
Second straight
I
championship.
think there's validity to what Greg is saying, despite the odds having this being pick'em. If you look at analysts, people with presence on with big platforms, it kind of felt like Florida could pull the card like, wait, do they really think that we can't do this? We can't win back-to-back cups? Like they were being doubted in ways that they hadn't been since probably Vegas, and that team is just better than you.
Because of how banged up they were at the end, I think, is the reason for that. Their regular season was nothing to write home about.
Right.
So I get why people were doubting them, but I just think at this point, people are not like frustrated that the Florida Panthers are in this anymore. People are like, that's a great team. Like, I don't think teams, like, people are looking like at us as an all-time great team. I think the narrative of this Florida Panther, like, Florida, no one cares. I think a couple years ago, it was like, what is this Florida market? I feel like now it's like, this team is just deserves to be.
I think both could use help from the other opponent in framing what their legacy is, because while back-to-back doesn't necessarily get you in dynastic conversation, the fact that they had went to a Stanley Cup final previously as an 8 seed, and they do it against this guy in the Cup final, that frames the discussion, and it also frames the discussion for Connor McDavid in that you could look at this Florida team and say that's one of the best teams ever. And you shook off 3-0, you battled back, you fell just short. Can you use that as fuel to take you over the top? I think both of these teams are helped by the other in terms of narrative.
A couple of questions for Dominique. One, do you feel like Mike is going for the Don Nelson look with the chain outside of the shirt? And two, Chris Cody, when are you going to stop using the phrase something to write home about, given that it's been a long time, maybe the 1800s, since people wrote home in order to give good information? We're beyond the writing of home, what do you write home? Like, why are you writing a home? Like, you're writing your dad a note? You're writing your dad a note and mailing it to him? Or why are you writing?
I wouldn't even know how to mail something.
What? He has not written a letter in his entire life.
I would be like, I would have to go to my dad to like, give me a stamp. Do they still do these things?
You don't know how to use a stamp? You have
No, I know that my parents have stamps that if I ever need anything, I can go over there in their junk drawer, slap that thing on there. I don't care how much it weighs. I'm putting that sticker on it.
Sticker.
How do you feel about Mike Ryan going for the Don Nelson look here, Dominique? Do you believe that he's not looking for Wakanda membership as well, is he?
No. I think that Don Nelson is trying to pull off the Mike Ryan. Mike pulls it off more naturally. And maybe I haven't seen Don in a while. It looks perfect for him, but I think it's different looks. Are
those puka shells? What kind of shells are those? Those are Hawaiian shells. That
it might be made of hemp. Like his guest house is also made of hemp. But Dan, you'd be right. I saw this picture of Don Nelson. I said, I got to be like that. I've never worn this look before. Prior to, I saw a picture of Don Nelson. I'm like, that's going to be my fit now.
A good choice by you,
there
Mike.
You go.
Thank you.
Mild Mike.
We didn't mild. That's what it is. It's not. It's no longer a Cody Holy Shirt Tuesday. It is now a mild Mike Monday, and on a mild Mike Monday, one of the things that I wanted to bring
up. That's not
up,
a thing. It's not a thing. Stop making it. The only reason it's a thing is I'm getting boxed out at every turn right now. Cockburn's got to get the shots up.
That kind of thing. thought that was his name.
I'd
never met the guy.
You thought his name was Cockburn?
I did. Pete Cockburn. It
That was-
sounds like a name.
That was very Bill Simmons. Do I get to speak now? Is it my turn?
Mild Mike.
The house was made of hemp or is made.
Yeah, we have a
of
photo.
hemp.
It's something called. Please clear the graphic. It's something called hempcrete. They make hemp into this paste, and he built a 6,000 square feet guest home made of hemp.
What a waste of
You can
hemp.
see right there.
How many things can you throw Crete at the end of it and just make a house with it? I could play. You want me to play the game? I can name some things.
Workshop that next time.
Yeah, before you do that, in fact, here, let's just.
Major penalty, 5 minutes, swooning comedy.
I think you'd be shocked at how many.
Greg Cody, I want to get your thoughts on the Pittsburgh Steelers signing Aaron Rodgers, 1 year, $13 million, an interesting marriage. Adam Schefter is reporting that this was Pittsburgh's third choice, that they were trying to get Matthew Stafford, that they thought that it might be an experience in a future that involved the quarterbacking of Justin Fields. And now you are seeing Aaron Rodgers. They're sort of the quarterback discount bin is empty.
Yep.
At the game of musical chairs makes it so that they couldn't go into next season with Mason Rudolph as
Right.
their quarterback. You simply cannot do that. So they just end up on Aaron Rodgers, and how do we think that's going to go?
Well, I don't think it'll go particularly well. I think Aaron Rodgers has shown that he's pretty much spent in terms of the Aaron Rodgers of 5 years ago, the Aaron Rodgers from his prime. The Jets let him go for a reason. And Aaron Rodgers only looks good if you compare him to Mason Rudolph. He kept the Steelers on hold for months, and this is what the Steelers get for not moving on from the possibility of Aaron Rodgers.
I think the Steelers are in a situation now where they have to go with Aaron Rodgers. It puts them in a situation where Aaron Rodgers could hopefully turn back the clock for enough for them to make a run, but he also can put them in a position to draft a quarterback next year when the quarterback draft class is a little bit more attractive. I don't have a ton of faith in Aaron Rodgers, but a year removed from the Achilles injury, people do have a little bit more success once they have a little bit more time to recover. But it's not an injury that has a long history outside of Kevin Durant.
Well, you've seen the numbers on him turning the ball over more. So I asked this question sincerely, even though I know how the audience feels about what I'm about to say. If I tell anyone in the audience, you're someone who cares about the Steelers, what would you prefer? Mason Rudolph is your quarterback next year, or Aaron Rodgers is your quarterback? Everybody would say, I've seen what Mason Rudolph is, and I've seen what Aaron Rodgers has been. I'd rather hope than go with Mason Rudolph. So I ask you, Dominique, in real terms, having looked at the analytics of what the decline has been and historically how bad quarterbacks get after the age of 37, is Aaron Rodgers actually a better option than Mason Rudolph? Yes or no?
Yes, he's absolutely a better option than Mason Rudolph because, you can find moments. I think what you want from a quarterback at this point is can they make the throws that not other quarterbacks can make? You can find moments in Aaron Rodgers' season last year that are really ugly, but you can also put together a pretty impressive highlight tape. I think that the players on that team, the fans of that team, and the coaches on that team, in their mind, their best version of this is we play great defense. We don't ask much of Aaron Rodgers. But every now and then, we ask him to do one of those special things. Can he do it? Mason Rudolph cannot. So you don't even have that as an option or opportunity. So I think that's what players and fans and coaches would like about Aaron Rodgers.
Well, I have a question, though. Would you prefer Aaron Rodgers to either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields?
I think so, given how last year ended, because it's the unknown of it. I'm not saying that it's smart or rational or right. I'm saying if I were on that team, I would say, yeah, go ahead and let those guys run, and we'll see what Aaron Rodgers can give us. I think the other more complicated and difficult thing to talk about when it comes to Aaron Rodgers is what his presence means beyond his ability on the field. And we want to focus so much on the things that we fully understand, like we can see how well or poorly he throws. We don't know. Despite the fact that we pretend like we don't know exactly what the Aaron Rodgers presence in the locker room means. Leading up to his stint with the Jets, we were spinning it as positive. Like, he's there. He knows how to win. He's going to expect things from other people. They're reinvigorated because they see how high their ceiling is offensively. And then the following year, we're like, man, everybody hates Aaron Rodgers. He gets all the coaches fired. No one really likes to be. Like, I don't know what that particular ingredient is going to do to the chemistry of the Steelers locker room.
Well, what held Pittsburgh back last year? Clearly quarterback play, but the inability to trust the quarterback. I actually like using Aaron Rodgers the way that they use Russell Wilson, and hopefully you can talk yourself into, well, we can trust him to throw more if we need it. That was kind of in the way of Pittsburgh when they played Baltimore, was you kind of need Russell to throw. And when he was slinging it, it wasn't bad, but I can understand why you stopped short of fully trusting him. Aaron Rodgers historically has been very good at taking care of the football, and if he's going to buy into Mike Tomlin's way of just keep us in this football game, we'll find a way to steal it and sneak into the playoffs, even as a third team in that division, which is what most people likely have them. That's probably what the odds makers have them at. They can still get in the playoffs, and I would trust him to steal one against a better team in the playoffs more than Russell Wilson because I would trust him to throw it more.
It feels like Aaron Rodgers has a really good first year with his locker room, and then that second year is when things kind of start tailing off, right? So you have him for a one-year deal, and then maybe he's the good Aaron Rodgers in the locker room for that one-year deal, bridge quarterback, and then you get somebody else.
Well, let me figure this part out, though, because I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is capable of being humbled. I think anyone trying to predict how he'll behave in that locker room, that's a fool's errand to try and figure out what that looks like. But I'm more interested in this. So you got Mike Tomlin, nothing but winning seasons, but also in this particular quagmire, which is that fan base spoiled by Ben Roethlisberger, one of the best, okay?
7 starters since he's retired.
But spoiled by Ben Roethlisberger and also spoiled by this part. They got to watch the decline of Ben Roethlisberger when he was younger and his body was failing than Aaron Rodgers. And what that looked like was Mike Tomlin winning all the games. Nothing but slants, Ben. Nothing but slants. And every once in a while, please hit a 3rd and 9 down the field where you throw it for 30 yards because you can still make one of those old Ben throws. They've gone through all the quarterbacks since then. They're like, bring us back the old Ben. Just slants, slants, slants. 3rd and 6, slants. Be super accurate. Be Drew Brees super accurate. And every once in a while, please, Aaron Rodgers, on 3rd and 11, can you hit somebody down the field for 30 yards? Make 2 of those plays. Make 2 of those plays half a season.
Yeah, but they had better talent around Ben in those days. Like, I understand they acquired DK, but it's Robert Woods after that, who's been in the league forever. They have a new RB1 in Jalen Warren, who's been around the franchise for a long time, but it's the supporting cast of characters isn't what it used to be.
But what I'm asking Dominique is about the frustration that the Pittsburgh fan base would have about that offense in a phone booth constipation of we're just trying to get 7 yards on 3rd and 6.
It's a style of play that fans do not like unless the results are there. And while we marvel at Mike Tomlin's non-losing record, Steelers fans are done with it. And it's been a short, like it's all about expectations and what you're accustomed to. They've been accustomed to a level of success where they are sick of this mediocrity. Like you said 7 quarterbacks, but it's only been like 3 years since Ben Roethlisberger was their quarterback. He wasn't a good quarterback then, but like you had to stay with him. It's funny to listen to, or not funny, but it's interesting to listen to a fan base who's been so stable and had so much success get frustrated with that stability and success when you look around at the rest of the league. It's like you had 3 years of not having a quarterback. Most everyone else looking at 10, 15.
But do you guys hear what he's saying there? Because I believe that these two things are actually so, and it's a crazy thing to say. Mike Tomlin has not had a losing season since he's been coach for a franchise that has had 3 coaches ever. And also, Pittsburgh fans think the last 10 years of it are mediocre. The word is mediocre. Right? They keep making the playoffs. They always win more than they lose, but they're extinguished so quickly that Pittsburgh fans would absolutely have the assessment that Mike Tomlin the last decade has been mediocre. How can those two things be true?
Well, I think it doesn't help that if you're a Steelers fan, you see other downtrodden franchises like Detroit, like Washington, get pretty damn good pretty fast, and your team is still stuck in something just above mediocrity.
See, I got to cut you off there.
Yeah.
They didn't get good fast. Like, I guess they got good out of nowhere, but those two organizations were bad.
Yeah, well, that's what I
for
mean, though.
long stretches.
Yeah, that's what I mean, though. Like 2 years ago, they're both among the dregs of the league. Now, all of a sudden, especially Detroit, I mean, you're looking at Detroit as a Super Bowl contender.
It's hard to look at the whole, like, the big picture. But if you asked a fan base, would you rather have had the run of the Steelers or that of what let's go with the Commanders have? Like, obviously, they all choose the Steelers because the Steelers, even during their down period, they've been mediocre. Like, Washington was terrible. I live in D.C. The team was an embarrassment for a long stretch.
30 years.
The same thing for the Lions, which is why I get why the Steelers fans are upset, but I also get why people would look at them and say, shut up. You don't know suffering.
I'm really interested in this pairing, though, because I know it's a fairly recent thing that Aaron Rodgers is reputed to be a coach killer, but for most of his career, no. He actually worked against his best interests, and he kept mediocre people around in his life for too long. It certainly cost him at least one Super Bowl with the decision-making that happened in the NFC Championship game against Seattle. He's always surrounding himself with Nathaniel Hackett's of the world. I'm happy that he gets to go to a franchise where there is an established leader in that locker room, and it's not going to be Aaron Rodgers' cast of merry men that you just drag in here. We have a Pittsburgh Steeler way of doing it, and I'm the first coach with an actual personality and spine that you're going to listen to.
What's interesting to me about Aaron Rodgers signing with Pittsburgh is that Dominique is right when he says Steelers fans are growing really impatient, and it's also true to say that Aaron Rodgers is not a real likable character at this point. Not real likable. And I think there's the potential for a real combustible relationship. If Aaron Rodgers starts poorly or the Steelers are 0-2, I think you're going to hear booing. I think the mindset's going to be, why'd we sign this old guy? So I think it's a very volatile situation that's going to be really neat.
Can we explore, though, the question that I'm asking you guys? How do both of these things exist? The most stable franchise in the sport, 3 coaches in their history, has a coach who has not had a losing season in his entire time coaching. His fans are tired of the mediocrity. What are we talking about? Are you guys telling me that if you're the 10th best team in the league, that's mediocre? That's what you're telling me? Because Tomlin's been that for a decade and a half. It's not Lions get here for a minute and people are already closing their window and Ben Johnson's over here saying, I don't need a tush push. I don't need short yardage plays. We're all about 40-yard plays. Pittsburgh is going into a season trying to beat you with 7-yard slants and defense. And we'll try and go on the road and see if we could beat Burrow.
I mean, Pittsburgh fans are used to winning Super Bowls, and it's been a minute since they have. You know, Dolphin fans down here still look to 1972 and 1973, ancient history. If you've won Super Bowls, if you're used to winning a Super Bowl, it's not good enough to be 10-6.
But that's not mediocre. 10-7 can't be mediocre.
It's not good enough.
But for the first time in his career, I feel like he's going to a place where the expectations are perfectly calibrated for him, and with what the team actually does compared to the perception of him. People still think Aaron Rodgers is this chuck it down the field guy. Even when he was in his prime winning MVPs, he was very careful with the football, so I think it actually plays well to his skill set.
This is all game management. He will no longer be a game breaker. He's just going to be a game. It's don't make mistakes. It's not even make plays. It's don't make mistakes.
Right. And I think that to Mike's point, that should be encouraging to Steelers fans because it is a good fit. But to the question that I think you feel like we're not answering, it seems pretty simple. It's about expectations, and it's about what you become accustomed to. Like, I could give a ton of different examples or analogies, but like if you go back 100 years, the idea of having air conditioning would be like odd to you. Now, if I took your AC for one day, Dan,
oh my God,
you would be infuriated.
Oh my God.
The Steelers fan base have been living in AC. And now they just turned they haven't even taken it away. They just turned it up to 70, 72. And they're like, it's hot as shit in here.
They haven't changed the filter. That's what they
There you go. Yeah. And they're like, somebody do something about this. While other organizations are looking at them like, I've been in this swamp. It's 94 degrees in here. I can't fucking sleep. This is unbearable. And they're looking at the Steelers like, it's only 70 over there. Wait till you feel this. Like, I get how that feels.